CSR ecosystem, 45 crores seems to be a smaller number. But we have to appreciate that this is coming out of profit. So the donors have literally given money out of their profit and trusted the SSC ecosystem to deliver on their behalf.
Is it the inaugural session? You have a separate session, please?
Yes. Sure. So, I think just to give one idea is close to 190 are registered, close to 500, 600 had applied. So due to the rigor of due diligence, a lot of them kind of stepped away and could not complete. The third part is around CSR. So as we speak from NSE, we are engaging with all the stakeholders. There's a lot of interest from the stakeholders from NPOs as well as the corporate side who want to keenly know what are the next steps, what are the problems that we are facing. I'm happy to share the rigor of engagement is such that in the morning till 1 o'clock we had 2 corporate engagements in the morning, one with one of the biggest oil and gas marketing company and one of the biggest IT companies in India who have shown interest. They want to explore how SSE works, what are their challenges. I think I'll just take the last part and conclude on the note that what does the future look like? So if, as an individual not representing NSE, if I have to paint a picture with what regulatory movements have happened in the last couple of years, what I can see is maybe 15 years down the line, we have projects getting listed on the social stock exchange on a regular interval. We have donors who have a choice of investing based on the credibility and area of interest, and that kind of brings us to a parity of unit economics. Saying if there is a scaling project happening in one geography, how much does it cost for every candidate as compared to some other geography? All that data is publicly available, and that will help grow a more efficient social delivery ecosystem. The last part is just the retail donation part, as Sir also pointed out. I'll just quote one study. Last year, India donated close to 50,000 crore in cash, either to beggars or to other institutions. I think the pie is much bigger. If 50,000 crore cash was given out without any credible means, just on trust, I think a credible ecosystem like SSE can attract at least 4 times more cash in terms of donation if we provide a better alternative. With that, I think I'll take a quick pause and thank you so much. We'll continue with one more technical session for me as well. So I'll hand it over back.
Thank you, Mr. Shastri. In fact, the numbers right now that you told seems to be very small, but I'm sure that within a year, these numbers may become 10x or even 20x also, because such, deliberations definitely result in a lot of, understanding, knowledge transfer and capacity building of the stakeholders for the social stock exchange. Thank you very much. Now I'd like to invite Mr. Gaurav Kapoor, Head of Northern Region BSc, to share his deliberations with the august audience.
Very good evening, and thank you, PhD Chambers, for inviting BSc and inviting me. Dr. Jitendra Singh, Deputy Secretary General, PhD, CCI, Dr. S.K. Gupta, CEO, ICMA, Social Auditor Organization, Mridul Rastogi, DGM SEBI, Vineet Shastri, AVP NSE, Mr. CAB M.K. Anand, Chairman, Committee for ICMA, and Ma'am Ms. Jyotla Settling, the member for the SSE Advisory Committee of SEBI. Many people have told, why social impact is important and why the marriage of social impact with an entity like a stock exchange, which is largely more, if I have to say, is very uncommon, right? It is the risk capital which is moving from a company which wants to raise capital from people who wants to invest in that company and transfer their risk. So that is how generally an issuer capital or the money gets raised on the listed, part of the exchange, which everyone knows out here. So there is a company which wants to raise money. It wants to transfer its risk to people, many set of people who are investors, and with the trust of the ecosystem. And that ecosystem is largely being driven by regulation, largely being driven by a regulator, which is SEBI, the stock exchanges ecosystem, which is the exchange, clearing corporation, depository, which is a very well-oiled engine, which many of young people today may take it as guaranteed that, if I'm buying a share, then tomorrow definitely those shares are going to come to me in my demat account, right? But there is a lot of processes which are working in back end, which is ensuring that whatever obligations which is there on the other side is being met by the exchanges, clearing corporation, and the regulatory framework which is already available. When a company comes for an IPO, have you even wondered, many times you all may have invested in IPOs of many of the companies, and there is a guy sitting in Salem or in Coimbatore, and a company which is somewhere, say, down up in north in Delhi, and he does not have visited that company, and based on the trust of the ecosystem or the disclosure framework which is being provided to him through the stock exchange mechanism, the trust is there that he invests his hard-earned money into the IPO subscription. Today, the stock exchange ecosystem has close to 24 crore investors, which are trusting that ecosystem for value creation and for their investment purpose. And that is how the Honorable Finance Minister envisaged, and as my colleague from NSE mentioned, that this is not the first attempt which India is doing. The other jurisdictions also have done this. But the larger part is there is a 24 crores investors who have trust in the capital market ecosystem designed, and they are looking if same kind of disclosure can come through not-for-profit organizations. Can a small token of 1,000 rupees can flow from people who actually want to give money, right? They need a trusted environment which is there. Someone mentioned credible, someone wanted trusted environment. And even today, we also get calls right on phone that, there is a cancer patient and, XXY, and can you give money to him? And many times, I am saying at least out of 10, I would have thought even 9 times I would have not trusted him, the person on the other side. And they could be genuine also, right? They could be genuine, and you don't know why those calls are there. So whether that genuinity can be put into a platform like a stock exchange ecosystem, and where you actually want to invest and do good part. And I will say it is not something we have to do outside our obligation. It is something which should be core as an Indian, as a society, and as the organizations or listed companies. People do give it, the regulation is provided as part of the CSR, but I am very much sure as time comes, with the new regulation, where CSR also can put some part into the NPOs, that will build trust into the ecosystem. But finally, end of the day, the retail investors, right? Today, if you see the stock exchange ecosystem, even the FPIs have moved money out, right, from India in last, almost year and a half. It is only the domestic institution and the retail investor which have ensured the flow of the market is there and the markets are very stable, right? So same ecosystem should surely be there. If I have to take a parallels, in 2012, earlier the stock exchange were only known for main board companies. Companies, they start their journey from our partnership firms, they become a private firm, and then they reach to a certain size before they get listed onto the main board. So the criteria was very, very, harsh, and you need to be up the game if you have to come to the stock exchange. In 2012, we started with the SME platform, small and medium enterprise platform, and it almost took us 5-6 years, both the exchanges put together, to create awareness about that platform. And those challenges are remain with the SME companies also, because SME companies, the promoters, their regulations, their transparency, all those challenges were there. Why do I dilute my stake in the company? Similarly, today we will find when we reach out to the NPOs at large, there will be governance issues, there will be trust issues, but till the time there is an intent, till the time there is proper disclosures which is available in the ecosystem, definitely a lot of people, a lot of organizations which want to do good, in the society at large, there are a large amount of investors which are there in the exchange ecosystem which can support the initiative. When we say it is part of the segment in the stock exchange, so all those 24 crore investors will get access to the company if they get listed onto the exchange platform, either on BSE or NSE at large. And you can invest similar to stock exchange. So if you have an account with Zerodhas of the world, you can, if the company gets listed, for the IPO period. You can subscribe to that IPO or the NPO, whichever way you say, and then you can, be trusted in terms of disclosure which they need to do. So disclosures are very key in the stock exchange parallels per se. We are a rule-based, disclosure-based regime which is there, and that will ensure that the trust is being built up. From a corporate point of view, they all need, to invest money in organizations which are credible in nature, and as someone rightly said, they have to showcase whether they have actually made those changes, right? They have made that impact into the society at large. And with the addition of retail investors coming in it, the impact could be amplified. So, leaving that, I will just take a break from this, and if there are any questions related, very technical to SSE platform, more than happy to address. Thank you very much again.
Thank you very much indeed, Mr. Kapoor. Thank you very much, and also for again reinforcing the confidence that we have in BSc and even the NSC, that actually gives a lot of feeling that there is 100% trust. Means there is no second question if we have to invest money in any of these platforms. Thank you very much. We have with us our former president of PhD Chamber, Mr. K.S. Mehta. In fact, he's a big time, philanthropist. He did a lot of multiple CSR activities, and his domain expertise is he has built more than 100 check water dams in the rain deprived areas. Thank you very much, sir, for being a part of this very important program. Now I'd like to invite Mr. Mridul Rastogi, DGM, SEBI, to kindly share his thoughts with the august audience.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. First of all, I would like to thank everyone to be here. And since I am very new to this area, so it is my privilege to speak about the most innovative initiative in the Indian financial market, which is social stock exchange. Traditionally, stock exchanges have been platform for raising capital for businesses. However, many organizations working to address critical social challenges such as poverty, education, and other social activities, but they are facing the problem to how to raise the fund. Many of the speakers have already raised, there was a major three issue. One is the credibility of the issuers. We don't know how they are going to use our funds, which we are going to deploy by the agencies. So the social stock exchange seeks to bridge this gap because the donors and the NPOs, they were not knowing how to raise the fund and how to utilize the fund and how to make the credibility. So social stock exchange seeks to bridge this gap, and the importance of social stock exchange lies in its ability to connect social enterprises with the donors, CSR contributors, philanthropies, and the impact investors through the transparent and regulated platform. In the country like India, where development needs are vast, and the social stock exchange can play a vital role in mobilizing private capital for social cause. There are many corporates who want to invest as part of the mandatory requirement as well as for their general cause also. There are many social organizations, they want to do something for the society, but the same problem lies. So recognizing this potential, SEBI has taken several pioneer steps. Following the announcement in the Social Stock Exchange in 2019 by our Honorable Finance Minister, SEBI developed a comprehensive regulatory ecosystem after extensive stakeholder consultation. It established dedicated social stock exchange segment at NSE as well as BSc, defined eligible social enterprises, prescribed disclosure and governance standard, and introduced the innovative zero coupon, zero principal instrument for fundraising by not-for-profit organizations. SEBI has emphasized transparency and accountability through robust impact reporting requirement, ensuring that stakeholders can assess not only how funds are utilized, but also the social outcomes are achieved. Further, the introduction of social impact funds has strengthened the ecosystem for impact investing in India. To encouraging part of the ecosystem, the SEBI has taken a few steps, like what we can say this around 170 non-profit organizations have registered on social stock exchange, in which 75% are registered only the last year, which shows the popularity of the social stock exchange. And the part of the fundraising raising side, total collectively around 44 crore, 45 crore amount was raised through the stock exchange platform, social stock exchange platform. What SEBI has done, SEBI has decision to reduce the minimum application size to just rupees 1000. This will help to increase the number of retail participation. On issuer parts, the minimum issue size for zero coupon zero principal bond was reduced to rupees 50 lakhs from rupees 1 crore. This will enable the smaller NPO to access the social stock exchange. Further definition of NPO was also expanded, which includes the charitable trust as well as the charitable societies also. Also, there are, for ease of doing business, bifurcation of annual disclosure into financials and non-financials reporting were made. A major boost came when the Ministry of Corporate Affairs permitted companies to deploy up to 10% of their CSR contributions obligations through instruments like the social stock exchange. This important reform creates a direct linkage between the India's last CSR ecosystem and our social stocks exchange platform. This unlocking the significant resources for social enterprises. The amendment demonstrates a powerful convergence of the corporate responsibility, philanthropy and capital market, creating a stable funding channels for social enterprises working in this area. So at the end, I want to state that the social stock exchange is still at an early stage, but it represents a very powerful idea. The capital market can serve not only economic growth, but also social transformation. With continued support from the regulators, corporates, government, investors, and social enterprises, the SSC has the potential to become a key player of India inclusive and sustainable development industry. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mrs. Rastogi, for giving the SEBI's overview and also making life easy for NPOs for register. Also, it's same like ease of doing business, particularly for registering in the social stock exchange. Thank you very much for sharing your perspective. Now, I'd like to invite Mr. Harshvrat Jaitley, Chief Executive Officer, Vani, to share his thought process with the audience.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. I'm Harsh Jaitley, and nowadays we have started using my big name, which was very difficult to pronounce. मैंने छोटा किया था, but again we have started using it. I am from Vani, that is a national platform of Indian CSOs, which work on development issues. Just like PhD is Association of Industries, we are Association of CSOs. See, very interesting conversation going on here. And Mr. Gaurav Kapoor has given a very interesting perspective to the conversation. He said, and I was reflecting on that. See, in spite of whatever we listen in news media, that there has been a lot of scandals, confusions in the market, people still have trust in investing money. Although I don't have a single share, but people still buy share because they trust the mechanism developed by stock exchanges. That if I'm putting my money, that will be safe. That's why I appreciate the point raised by Mr. Gaurav. Now, if you read the concept of social sector and the industry, we have realized, although CSR is new, but in this country the concept of doing good, social good is very old. Almost all industries, whatever size they have been working with the community in and around their industries, even with their communities. So it's not nothing new. But the point is that in today's times, in such a confusion world, there is a misunderstanding, there is a lack of understanding, not misunderstanding, lack of understanding about each other. We need something like Bridge, who can create an environment of trust between each other. Like a typical person in the street does not know how company works, and they also don't know how social sector works, CSO works. In that confusion, we rely on the popular media, which sometimes sensationalize the issues, and we believe on that. But I think there are institutions, credible institutions in our country, which are needed to clear those confusions. I think whether it's a BSc, NSc, I have limited knowledge of commercial market that way. But that is necessary in today's time that they can create that environment. Although undoubtedly CSOs need money because the type of service which they provide to community can't pay that. Because if they are in a position to pay, they will go to corporate hospitals. But they go to CSOs, hospitals run by CSOs, because someone is there to underwriting their cost. So that is very necessary. But the point is, CSOs of this country, I'm talking about especially those who are like money members and all those, we look for funding sources which are ethical, which are legal, and which are relevant to our work. That is very important. And that concept actually, this as one of the speaker was saying, I could not say in Durse, that there is a lot of individual giving in this country. And that is based on trust. We trust a priest of a temple to give him 50 or 100 rupees because we know that money will be used for the benefit of the people. Can we build that trust relationship and relationship of understanding between individual donors, institutional donors, through established institutions? I always make a comment on lighter mood of Ramayana. You know, Sita, when she came out of Raman's custody, she gave Agni Pariksha, but even then in the whole concept of Ramayana later on, she had to prove that no, I am still that Sita. Same is the case with NGOs. You have Darpan, you have SCRA, you have income tax, you have so many reporting institutions which have their own parameters, which creates confusion. Because sometimes this NGOs page 80% of their time goes in reporting. If we can have a unified, standard, transparent reporting format, even Ministry of Corporate Affairs tried that under CSR. They had their own system. I was part of that committee when we were reviewing CSR also. But the point is that can we do that? Forget about the amount of money. Forget about the crores of rupees floating, going to floor or other floating around. Just think that can we have a system in this country where we can have a good, well-oiled support infrastructure for CSOs who understand the work of social development in this country. As rightly said, I think Mr. Jitendraji rightly said, that we are moving economically. We need to move socially and politically also. Right? That's what Mahatma Gandhi also said. That with independence comes the responsibility of providing equity. You read the very next part of equity. That is very important in this country. And second, another point which I like to say that there is time to change and reform. See, the work which social sector does, actually the language which we use is so complicated. It is simply just like I can say a report of a chemical industry. If you give it to me to read, I will not understand anything. Right? But I need someone to explain me what actually hota kya hai. Same is the case with social sector. The language has become so complicated that only we can understand. The people in the street can't understand what we do. If tomorrow, if someone calls me and says that I want to support Vani, tell me what you want to do in, say, 1 page. I will create 100 pages. Difficult to understand because that's what I'm trained to. But I think time has come that everyone has to change. The social sector has to change, the corporate sector has to change. We have to trust each other and come together on and use whatever mechanism we have in this country to build a relationship of, because we always say that in this country we have everything. Only thing is that we are not accessing each other. So these are my, yes, as you rightly said, visible, verifiable impact, that is very necessary. बहुत जरूरी है because people should understand क्या हो क्या रहा है. And sometimes when we say we are mostly into narrative explanation of our activities. Time has come mathematical explanation of our activities. So what can be the common parameter for that? So I think these are the things, and maybe time is coming and the way things are moving with Gupta ji and Madam Jyotsna is doing, I think in a few days we'll have a better ecosystem for the social development in this country. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Latli Saab, and keeping it very, very simple, as you rightly said, that the socialist stock is succeeding, definitely it will be, it will curtail that Agni Pariksha medium, and I'm sure that the NGOs that will be listed in the SSC, definitely they will have more credibility and they don't have to, prove every time with all those, long, presentations and long concept notes about the, about the credibility. Thank you very much, sir. Now I'd like to invite the CMA M.K. Anand, Chairman PD and CP Committee of ICMAI. Over to you, Anand, sir.
Thank you very much, Doctor. Ladies and gentlemen sitting over here, very learned people, and the audience over here. You see, most of my speakers, earlier speakers, have mentioned about how this has become a concept, because this was a very long thought of things, and now the government is structuring it, trying to structure it. So I think this is a more better part, that all of us now can be a part of making a very foolproof and a system which will then structure the things into this. So we are looking to a kitty of around 3,500 to 4,000 crores, I think, in this, because if the CSR funding of the BSUs and other industries is around 35,000 or 40,000 crores, what we were discussing. So we are looking at a kitty of 4,000 crores. Now, I was very keenly listening to Yatli Sahab Wani, where he mentioned about, by nature, I think our society is more a giver society. I mean, we are suspicious also, but by nature we are givers. You may find very poor people even sharing their food with people over there, but then because of non-availability of structured things and because of non-availability of disclosures, or because of non-availability of available information, we really shy off. Now, in the meantime, I also looked at the first stock exchange maker country, namely Brazil. You see, they established in 2003 and now it is defunct and they have ceased their operations. So what is the reason? It says because of insufficient users. So when they mention that it is a matchmaking concept, it is, to my mind, it goes beyond much beyond matchmaking. Matchmaking means that you match them and then you are done with it. But I think exchanges and the regulators have much stronger management to look into that after that, because they have to get some regular reports from them, or ultimately the utilization, and where I think we professionals also have to play very strong roles, that we have to make very foolproof systems in this, so that the trust and the confidence of the common public also generates. You see, it was mentioned that 50,000 crore is being given into cash, maybe to temples or maybe on streets or maybe to such areas. So all this money, if it is channelized through the social stock exchanges, you can see that what a big availability or what a big exchange it becomes, and all of us will be playing a very big role into that, especially professionals into this basically. Other thing what he is telling, insufficient users, lack of investor awareness. Meaning that we introduce a concept and then we forget about it. We introduce a concept and then we are not debating on that, or we are not ultimately discussing on that. And then high economic costs for participating social enterprises. Of course, these are all the, when we are going on a road, it's a new road, but all of us will be constructing. I'm sure from my professional, I really thank Gupta ji and ma'am for sparing her time, and of course PhD people for organizing this wonderful seminar. This is an education thing, and I'm sure that we as the professional institute will be developing some good standards for reporting, for innovating, and then ultimately utilization as to where that money is going. Jetli Sahab gave example of Sita, but I am giving an example of Japan. You see, Japan as a country, I think, faces maximum earthquakes in the world. But they say, if you Google that, it is never a rush or line when the government support is coming. They are all, meaning thereby that we as Indians, and now going into the third economy basically, also have to increase our level of awareness, also have to increase our level of trust, also have to increase our level of professionalism among ourselves, so that then the desired impact of this wonderful scheme can be felt by majority of the society. I really feel very happy to be part of this deliberations, and I assure you that from my institute side, we will be doing all the whatever is necessary for you people. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Anand sir. for sharing your perspective. Now we have with us Ms. Jyotna Sitling. In fact, everybody is waiting for the keynote address. I'll just try to read brief profile of Madam. Ms. Jyotna Sitling is a former Indian Forest Service officer with 35 years of illustrious career. She has served in various capacities in the development sector and in Government of India as Joint Secretary in the Ministry of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship. Ms. Sitling is IIM Bangalore alum and is recipient of Prime Minister's Award for Excellence in Public Administration 2006. Madam has remained an institutional entrepreneur in her approach to the delivery of the public service in diverse fields. She has created participatory institutions, policies, instruments, and programs in areas like poverty, gender, livelihoods, biodiversity, watershed, agribusiness, entrepreneurship, and skills. She was also on the board of Mudra from 2015 to 2019. Ms. Sitling continues to work passionately at the intersection of market, equity, and environment to create a positive ecosystem for social enterprises in the country. At present, she is massively involved in bringing awareness to the government functionaries and in political leaderships on the roles that are critical to the government in bringing distinct value in different market sub-segments of social impact business, and most importantly, she is working to build robust instruments for impact trading in the country in a role as member advisory committee to SEBI on social stock exchange. Over to you, ma'am, for your deliberations and keynote address.
Thank you very much, Dr. Jitendra, for your kind introduction. Esteemed dais and august gathering, it's indeed, it's a very momentous occasion for me to be here after 12 years when I had the opportunity to participate in making national policy for skill development and entrepreneurship. There, we could get a para-organized, you have to have a social marketplace, yeah? So now that social marketplace was not known to everyone in 2015, yeah? So given that we worked a lot, in fact my team and me worked a lot across the ministries for 4 or 5 years, and ultimately in 2019, Honorable Finance Minister came with this announcement of social stock exchange, and that is social marketplace. Yeah. So given this, now with this social marketplace, also I had the opportunity to work from the beginning, from working group. I worked with working group, then technical group. So they, everyone. SEBI, what they had done, they had pulled experts from every field, especially from the social field, to understand what the social the inner shape of the social stock exchange would be. Yeah. So given that now, I'm just giving a big history of that, and I'm coming now here. We are here at this momentous occasion now, given this 10% allowance of CSR fund to be treated, to be routed through social stock exchange. So it has, in fact, got a huge leveraging power, and why, the social stock exchange has very nicely told by Vinit that we experiment it as a concept of proof, yeah, for 3 years. So given that, and itself, while establishing itself, we had some 9 countries we studied, and I'm not going to repeat, but at the same time, what we found that only 3 countries, that two countries where NPOs were listed, and in 1 country where for-profit were listed, and mostly where the for-profit were listed, they were only successful. So why India would succeed? Because there's a solid backing of the government. In all these exchanges, they are either directory, they are matchmaking, and very less of them were fundraising. Yeah. So we are, we are very fortunate to have this type of government backing to get the system work. And I can see over last 5 years, SEBI has, jumped over so many regulations. And I can understand, how it was not that easy for SEBI, for both the exchanges, to understand how this social system works and how, how we can develop the whole architecture to make the system work. So step by step, we can see, for every year, SEBI is coming with 3-4, amendments in the regulation. So this is how you went on learning by doing. Now coming to this part, 10%, yeah? 10%, now this 10% has what potential it has got in terms of leveraging the power of institutionalized social impact assessor. So there is a cadre of impact assessors behind it. So which, CSR doesn't have. Yeah? There is there's an impact, the organized system of social impact benchmarking. So can this be leveraged to create the power of social currency to build social capital for nation building? We have to focus there. Money is something else, 3,500 crores. But that is something we have to understand what its leveraging power in terms of creating social capital for nation building. And now, as Dr. Gupta told, Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas. What I understand, Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas is something, where the government is very much in to give fund to the people for doing good. But we know that 95% of our this social fund is borne by the government. And it is taxing government exchequer and taxing taxpayers' money like all of us basically. So we have to, it's a now, we call it economic imperative, economic compulsion for every citizen like us to, give to work with platform like this and make it happen. So another part is, so it's leveraging power, how we can build more capital out of it. This 10% should act as a trigger. Yeah. And we are aiming at 3,500 would come, but we should aim that, in multiplier, why, can we multiply this 5 times in terms of, getting fund routed through social stock exchange? Because this is not only matchmaking. This is a fundraising where institutional investors, non-institutional investors, and retail funders can come and co-invest. So this is something we have to understand, the pivotal point. We are standing right at this point today where we can create a history in terms of building social capital for the nation. And another part I just would like to tell to our corporate friends is, now what we need to understand is that CSR, yes, it was mostly cost centered. Yeah. Now, now time has come now. It is, it is giving a structurally efficient cost deployment with less admin and legal risk. This platform is giving, okay? And a regulated counterpart holding the purse. Regulated counterpart means our NPO fraternity. Yeah. So they are regulated. So, where we can get this type of opportunity to, to embank upon and take the nation forward. So let us all come together and scope Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas. That is one part I already explained. But now government has come through this regulation to create Sabka Vishwas. Sabka Vishwas. Now it is up to for all of us to create, to participate in Sabka Prayas. In Sabka Prayas, what I say that, as India, we are developing economy. But at the same time, we all understand that there is a huge, economic disparity. It's increasing day by day. Environmental problems are increasing day by day. And whatever, we have tried a lot. I try a lot while working with SEBI and NSE, BSE, you understand, to bring down the cost of transactions. I'll come in a later part. So, every transaction, if we can think that, can we bring down the cost of transactions? It's very, very important. It should not be like, the 3,500 crore rupees and there is value capture somewhere by the professionals. So we have to understand this is a social cause we are working. So through normal industry participation, wherever it's there. Now CSR funding is coming. So given that, we have to be aware of all these things also. It's not that, industry is always against or something. It's never like that. We have to be conscious of, the cost we are going to incur in the transactions. जो मतलब ये होना चाहिए, सस्ता भी होना चाहिए, टिकाऊ भी होना चाहिए और इंडिया को आगे ले जाने वाला सिस्टम होना चाहिए. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, ma'am. In fact, you have given a very, very, I would say, thought leader perspective. Represents सबकी साथ सबका विकास सबका विश्वास and that can only happen if there is सबका प्रयास. And this प्रयास, this program is also a step towards the प्रयास, and I'm sure that with more and more knowledge sessions, like there will be more understanding of the social stock exchange, and there will be more because all ecosystem players will definitely become a part and parcel of this. Thank you very much indeed, ma'am. And we'll request, in fact, now since our subject matter experts are here, and in order to honor them, we have a small felicitation program for them. We request Dr. S. K. Gupta to kindly come in front. We also request Mr. K. S. Martha, our former president, KP Chamber, to kindly come and please felicitate our guest speakers with a moment to end a glance. But we can have it Ms. Jyotna settling.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, 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 yes. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
I happen to have worked in the Burmese committee for almost 12 years.
Okay. Good evening. अच्छा धन्यवाद बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद so thank you
Thank you. All your referred to
Mr. Vinay Shastri from NSE.
So.
Mr. Gaurav. Yes,
What's keeping me ready?
thanks to you. One for Sri Gupta and then Mr. Anand
Thank you. So. Go. See it. Thank you very much all our first speakers for being a part of this journey. Now we start with our first technical session, and before that we'll have a group photo. I request Matt also to kindly please come in. डॉक्टर बिट्टू इधर आइए आप ओके Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we have one more reminder to give to a very, very brilliant Jessica Chashma, I request Jessica to kindly come on side. And Jessica Verma has written a very small important research what she has done on social talk. And we'd like to present an appreciation certificate to her. She is a final year BCom honors student at PGDAV College, Morning, University of Delhi, and she has completed the also requested by the Dr. Rajni Jagota, Commerce Faculty, PGDAV College, kindly come to stand. This was done under the guidance of Dr. S.K. Gupta from Take My Social Order. Gupta, अभी पकड़ लिया हाँ इधर से लेना आप उधर ही इधर बीच से करिए बस 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 congratulations congratulations so thank you very much my request to everyone to kindly join us in it yes all the best congratulations this is for you yeah आइए आइए आप भी आइए ना आपने इतना परिश्रम किया है मैडम इधर भाई
listening to you. It was such a valuable, gave valuable insights.
ये अभी पॉकेट में ही हुआ बाद में आ जाएगी ठीक है अभी सब
First technical session and
ऑल द बेस्ट बहुत धन्यवाद
अवेयरनेस के लिए हम डेवलप भी कर सकते हैं उनके जी मेरे साथ आप चाहे आप
सर आपकी बात सीरियस है जो आपका हैंडल करते हैं उसके साथ में मैंने वो इच्छुक भी है जो आपका दीक्षा राजपूत है आपके जो आप जो आपका कॉलेज है वो करते हैं
पीजीडीए कॉलेज
वो नहीं वो ज्वाइन सेक्रेटरी है वो सारा हायर एजुकेशन कॉलेज से हाँ इनके साथ में अभी फोर्थ
अच्छा चल रहे हैं
ऊपर करते हैं इससे आपके उससे बना सकते हैं है अगर माइक है वो है वो कौन माइक है फोन किधर से हो गई फोन है नहीं हो प्रेजेंटर देखना वो स्लाइडर भी चाहिए स्लाइडर दे दो और वो बाकी स्लाइड सर वाली की बना दो चेयर आगे तो पर ये बैक का निकलते हम लोग यहाँ बैठेंगे ना ये लोग आएंगे चेयर चेयर आगे निकाल लेते चेयर निकलवा ये चेयर निकलवा लो नहीं चाहिए हाँ दो ही लगेंगे बाकी यहाँ लगेगी साइड में खड़ा अगर खड़ा हुआ ना तो मैं तेरे को दूंगा तो आगे वाले सीट में बैठ गई एक से तो पीछे की ओर। इधर हो जाना हाँ वहाँ से लगा तो ना तो मुझे ये बाद में पकड़ा देना अगर मैं खड़ा होकर बोलूंगा ना तो मैं तेरे को दूंगा तो कभी से तेरे को स्लाइड 5 वाला जो शेर है वो मेरे आखिरी वाला शेर जब वो आए तो उसको आगे की तरफ कर दियो अपने आप उठा लो टेबल मैं कह रहा हूँ जब शेर वाला हाथ में नहीं हुए ना ये, तो सिर्फ शॉपिंग वो खड़ा हो जाऊंगा ना ये सब किधर सर बैठ में ये वाला अच्छा व्हाट्स दैट तो राकेश हाँ मैं मालूम है ओह ग्रेट 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 राकेश शुक्ला from PhD. It's your first office. Yes, yeah, I will touch with you. Sure, sure, definitely. अगर मैं खड़ा हुआ ना तो मैं तुम्हें पकड़ा दूंगा ये अगली सीट पे जो बैठा है ना 20 मिनट मैक्सिमम 15 में कवर कवर हाँ मतलब तुम ले लेना इधर ही आना आगे वाली सीट पे ही रहना मैं प्रमोद जी को बोल दूंगा कि स्लाइड 5 अगर मैं दूंगा तो प्रमोद जी को दूंगा तो उनको बता दो स्लाइड 5 और आखिरी वाली स्लाइड ये दो मुझे पकड़ा देंगे जब आएंगे प्रमोद जी को दे दूंगा मैं ये दो कागज चल ठीक है छोड़ कर रहा हूँ क्या आराम हो आपके सर स्टार्ट कर दें आप हाँ हाँ स्टार्ट चलो Mr. Rakesh Dayal, founder, Consistency India LLP. I will big round of applause for Mr. Dayal. Another speaker we have Sri Vineet Sastry, Associate Vice President, Social Stock Exchange, NSE. A big round of applause for Mr. Sastry. And Mr. Hello. Promoter, join us online. So, big applause for sir. Mr. Dayal. Thank you. Am I audible? Thank you very much.
Can you give me the slider also? Thank you. Thank you. I want to stand, please. Good afternoon, everyone. Esteemed NGO leaders, CSR professionals, dignitaries on dais, my fellow speakers, and friends. It is privilege to be here among the people who are not only creating better organization, but also creating the better society. India for centuries is known for the nation of giving. Giving is in our culture, it is in our tradition, and it is in our DNA. So it becomes a nature. Whenever a temple has to be built up or any disaster strikes, the Indians stood first, people contribute. Then why we need this SSC? The innovation that India has done, as ma'am also spoke, that there are 7 countries where this SSC has been tried up and only 3 has been successful. But I believe the way India has learned from others, the SSC will be successful in India. And that is what my topic for the next 15-20 minutes. I am going to discuss with you the India's answer to the question why there is sustainable development required through SSC. Though India is known for giving, but everyone in the room has done the charity. And that is basically based on the trust. Trust means we are giving the donation if we trust the people. If we know that the rupee donated by me is used for the right purpose. So basic factor that an Indian want, that any person want, that money has to be utilized in a proper manner. And that trust has been given by the SSC. As Kapoor sir mentioned that we all believe the disclosure norms through the scrutinized, only those companies will come on the BSC, NSC, and people invest in shares. Same way, the investment can be done in the NGOs listed projects. There are 3 questions every stakeholders ask in this room. The donors will ask which NGO I should trust. The CSR professional will ask how do I know or my impact of my CSR money spent. And NGO want to know how I will get the funding. And all these 3 are answered, questions are answered by the social stock exchange. Let me talk you about the scale what we are talking about. To meet the SDG goals, which has been signed by 193 nations in 2015, India need the huge capital and government is working towards that. So, yeah. And government is working towards that. The 1/7 population of the world is served by 1/3 of the world's NGO. India is house of more than 3.3 million NGOs. That means for every 400 people, there is one NGO in India, whether registered or not. But in every locality, you will find an NGO, you will find the community developers. What is the requirement? Requirement is to create an impact for the social cause, for a purpose. That is the requirement we need. And that's why all these funds, formally or informally, has to be channelized through organized manner to create a social impact. Only 5.8 lakhs NGOs today are registered at the Darpan portal, and out of which 14,000 NGOs are having the FCRA certificate. It means that most of the money is going in unorganized way. I'm not saying that is not creating the impact, but if that can be channelized or institutionalized, that can create a long-term impact. Recent amendment by the government on the CSR rules, that 10% of money can be spent, can be invested, let me correct, can be invested in the ZCZP bonds of the NGO. That is also a boost to create the trust of the NGOs among the common people. So there are the three basic gaps in the social sector today. One is the trust deficit. As I mentioned, that you are donating on the basis of face value of a friend. I will donate the money to my neighbor, right, who is the head of an NGO. I will definitely give it to him because I think that my money is in the right hands. So trust deficit is there. I am not going to donate to an NGO which I am not knowing. Right. Second is the information asymmetry. Our NGOs are registered under the Trust Act, Societies Act, different regulations. There is no common regulation governing the NGOs. They have their own set of information and we could not benchmark them. And third one is no impact reporting. नेकी कर दरिया में डाल. Normally we are believing in that part कि हम नेकी करें और भूल जाए. But it is not the case. It should not be the case. We should know the impact of money what we are donating, and that is the transformation we have to brought in to channelize the whole unorganized money through a proper systematic manner. And I believe that SSC is the answer to all these gaps. Sorry. So in short, India does not have the shortage of generosity. India has the shortage of trust, and that trust social stock exchange can build up. So SSC is an attempt to build up the trust among the common donors, among the corporates, to build up the trust. Just to understand the concept or stakeholders of the social stock exchange, a common misunderstanding among the NGOs is that once we register under the stock exchange, they will give us the money. Stock exchange is a platform that connects the credible NGOs with the donors, with the companies, CSR funders, and impact funders. The social stock exchange mainly dealt or bridges the gap or make the connect between the donors and the NGOs. Like NSC and BSC connect investors with the businesses, social stock exchange connects the social capital with the social impact. Now question arises, why the NGOs need to register on the social stock exchange? There are 170 NGOs as on day who are listed on the NSC and BSC. As I mentioned, among 33 lakhs NGOs, only 5 lakh has the Darpan portal, 14,000 have the valid FCRA certificate, and these 170 NGOs are listed or registered with the stock exchange. The first and foremost advantage they will get is the visibility. जो पेड़ फल देता है वो शोर नहीं करता. जो पेड़ फल देता है वो शोर नहीं करता, और जो समाज बदलता है वो प्रचार नहीं करता। तो अगर आप सच में काम करते हैं, मैनी एनजीओज एट द ग्रास रूट लेवल, स्मॉल एनजीओज, दे आर वर्किंग हार्ड, दे आर क्रिएटिंग द इम्पैक्ट, but they are not visible. Social stock exchange provides the platform to become them visible nationwide, worldwide, over the night. Once they register over the stock exchange, they will get the visibility. They will get the credibility because their basic background has been checked by our stock exchange colleagues. So credibility, visibility, as well as access to the capital. Small NGOs could not access to the major funding. As I mentioned, they will dependent on the neighbors or the persons known to them getting the funds on their face value. But they are really creating the impact. Once they are fulfilling the disclosure norms, they are providing the impact, they can become the visible, credible, as well as they have the access to the institutional philanthropy. So, benefit of registration of an NGO and getting the project listed on the stock exchange give them all the things which they want to create a scalable impact. Now, for the CSR professionals, we all have the three questions again in mind. Whenever we are going to spend the money on the CSR, first questions we have: how to identify a credible NGO with whom we are spending, the legal, ethical, what Mr. Hers mentioned, how to get that NGO in our sphere. Second, funding the projects with measurable outcomes. Everyone board want that you are spending so much money. What is the outcome you are getting? What is the impact you are creating on the society? It is quantitative or qualitative. And third one, verifying the governance and compliance standard. All these three questions are already answered by the social stock exchange. Whatsoever project is listed on the stock exchange that has a quantifiable and qualitative, both measurable KPIs, it is a time bound duration project they are accepting. So they NGO can bring the many projects in their sphere. It doesn't mean NGO can list only one time, like a company has to list only one in a lifetime and it got listed. So NGO has to register once in lifetime, then they can list as many as projects as they want with a minimum size of 50 lakh rupees. And there is no limitation. They can bring 2 projects, 3 projects, 5 projects in a year in a time bound manner. Sir, I will take the questions just after finishing those, please. In a time bound manner. So they can list as many projects as they want. The projects have to be scrutinized again by the social stock exchange. Like you are subscribing an IPO and you have to file the DHRP. So NGO has to file the DFRD document with the stock exchange, draft fundraising document, that is 150, like same like DHRP document. It creates all the scrutiny. Again, after registration, it will again scrutinize the NGO at the time of listing of the project before getting the in principle approval. So all the diligence has been done by the stock exchange already. That answers the first and second questions. That credibility, their promoters, NGOs, founders, all the trustees, everything KYCs are with the stock exchange. So their credibility, their quantitative measurable impacts, time bound duration, disclosure norms give a comfort to the corporate sector that the money is going to be invested in a right way. So SEC reduces the cost of trust. So you are already getting the trusted NGO through the SSC platform, and that's why I'm saying your CSR is no more a spent, it is the investment. So CSR अब spent नहीं, investment है. Coming to the donor part, common donor. Once the big corporates also invest their some part of the CSR, into the listed projects of the NGO, the common people will also get more trust towards that NGO. Currently, the challenge is that common people awareness is not there. But once awareness will become, so the objective of the SSC to channelize the funds of the masses through the electronic platform to build an economy. So donors will get more credibility, more confidence, more transparent structures, more transparent things. That's why donors should care that whatsoever project is there on the SSC, the money will be invested, spent wisely. Moreover, let me give a case. We are doing the impact assessment of a NGO, which is listed on the stock exchange only, Educate Girl. We have calculated the SROI. Everyone knows the one is the emotional contact. Emotional connect is Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao. So that is Educate Girl available in the public domain also. But once we are collecting the donation on the emotional front, normally. And second, we are telling them rupee 1 invested or rupee 1 spent on education of a girl to ensure that institute or that NGO is creating 16 times return or 16 time contribution in the GDP of the country. So you are getting the social return in addition to the emotional satisfaction. And if at the same time, if any other NGO is creating 20 times, so you will donate in the NGO who is creating 20 times return. So you know the money I am donating is creating what impact. Emotions are same. I want to educate a girl, but who is spending my money wisely? That is to be important. And once that impact reports come in public, you can compare, you can benchmark the NGOs. Though you have to read in between the lines in which sphere, in which area that NGO is performing. Yes, I will come. There is full slide there. ये move नहीं कर रही है. हाथ से कर लीजिए. Yeah. So I'll come to the SRI part again. The emotional connect I am talking about, right? So I'm discussing with the CSR head of one of the organization, and he is mentioned that both in India, people are giving on the emotional basis. There should be emotional contact. I will not get the satisfaction. मैं अपने पड़ोस में मंदिर में जाके भिखारी को खिला दूंगा. That give me more satisfaction rather than to give the donation to the NGO because I feel a connect. So SSC also gives that solution. SSC gives you the ZC-ZP bond. You have to invest in the ZC-ZP bond. These will come into your demat account and you can donate only 1000 rupees, as low as 1000 rupees from your hard-earned income. You can subscribe those ZC-ZP bonds. And you can feel a connect whenever you open your shareholding pattern. Might be Mr. Harsh also open a demat account now because he is not investing in the shares. But he can feel a connect that with this project, I am connecting or I am developing not only the India, but I am also creating a better society. These ZC-ZP bonds remain in their account till the completion of the project. Not only that, every quarter they will get statement of utilization of the funds. That what has been promised in the fundraising document has been fulfilled or not. Not only that, if he has any grievance relating to the project, if he has any grievance relating to the person who is running the project, because they will give the full disclosure, qualification of the person who is running the project, the team size, everything they will give, how they are going to spend, what is the admin cost of the project, full detail is given by the social stock exchange disclosure norms. So you will get a confidence. This sir. Sir, it's a full topic, ZC-ZP bond. I will come if the time permits. I will definitely, otherwise I will discuss with you separately, sir. The ZC-ZP bond is basically the share bond which will come to your demat account. You are not get any interest on this. You are not going to get any principal on this, but what you are getting social return on your investment. So this is the connect between you and the project. This is the connect between you and the project emotionally also, and you have to feel that I am developing that part of the society, I am contributing that part of the society. You can raise the grievance if you have any, and the NGO has to sort this out, like you have to raise the grievance on the NSC or BSC as a shareholder of the company. In the same manner, as a donor, you can raise your grievance about the project on the SSC, and SSC will have to take care that you will get the response. Coming to the sir questions on the ZC ZP SROI. सर दोबारा स्लाइड रुक गया. Next. So ZCZP is basically giving you the accountability. नीचे. Next. Thank you. Yeah. So just 2 minutes on the educate girl slide SROI. That we have calculated that they have approached 3 lakh around girls. They have ensured that 3 lakh girls should get the education continuously, get the enrolled in the school, and get the education till primary education. Right? We considered that had they not been there, 30,000 girls will not be in the school, because it's not only their contribution, it is the contribution of government also, that they are providing the free education, free schools. Headmasters and teachers also have the target that everyone has to ensure. What they are doing, they are ensuring the attendance of the girls in the school. In the villages, it is difficult to get the regular attendance. People get the admission in the want of the subsidy, but after the getting the admission, attendance is very poor. We observe that, okay, we discussed that had that not be there, minimum 10% girls may not go to school the way they are going. Then we have calculated what is the effect of educating a girl with a primary education. We have studied the data on the UN. We have studied all the parameters and find out that 6,68,000 income will be generated, or income will be affected of a girl who is primary educated over the lifetime. Maybe on the health part, maybe on the lower mortality rate, or the fertilization, late marriage, increase in the income. These all factors we have considered, and we reached an opinion that rupee 1 spent by that NGO is generating 16.5 times return. Had that girl has studied senior secondary, that will generate 40-45 times return on the 1 rupee stand. That is again contributing to the economy of the country. The moment we will bring this awareness among the people, and this is one, we have the bench, we can have the benchmark different NGOs like this. And wherever I will get the maximum social return on investment, there I will donate my money. That is the beauty of the social stock exchange. Once the impact assessment reports or the measurable KPIs will be there. Excuse me.
Money will be put in right now. Impact report will be after the project is over.
Impact is always long term, sir. So
On the basis of post factor impact report, I cannot invest. मुझे जब और invest करना है, तो या तो किसी पुराने प्रोजेक्ट की impact report हो.
sir, already the NGO should be 3 years old. Sir will cover that has credibility will be there. They have a minimum spend criteria also, that they have spent at least 50 lakh rupees in the previous year. So it is sizable NGO will be there. When you are listing a project, you have to give the qualitative and quantitative KPI also. That has to be continuously monitored. Right? And you can question that also. You can ask the NGO as a donor, you have the right. आज तो हम नेकी कर दरिया में डाल, फिर नेकी कर दरिया में डाल नहीं चलेगा. Right? You can raise your grievance. So whatsoever you are investing, whatsoever you are donating is not donating, you are now investing.
Just to answer the question that usually right now when it comes to giving impact of social, right, then it is on financial year basis. irrespective of the fact the project is over or not.
Yeah. No, ma'am. Impact assessment report will be for all the projects listed or whatsoever carried out by the NGOs. And one more important part for the CSR professionals, you need not to do any separate audit report or separate impact assessment report if you are investing in a listed project. So they have exempted it. And
Financial year basis, but
you are also getting the impact report on the financial year basis from that NGO. So every year they have to get the impact assessment report from an impact assessor firm, which is registered and regulated by SEBI only. So currently there don't have any restriction. You can get the assessment report from anyone, right? You will get the report, what is the situation, what is the statement of realization, but impact will be created. Whatsoever the NGO is getting, they have to create the impact. Annual spent, there is a proper format is there. The SSC has issued the proper formats for the impact assessment report running and completed both. So there will be a midline assessment like kind of thing. No, there is a midline assessment will come in, that what is the budget, what is the actual spent, whether it is going in the right direction or not. For the other projects which have been completed, impact will be shared.
So you can find out all registered with SEBI, we create that impact for that particular CSO.
Yes.
So like
Say, हाँ, बस हाँ, ये दो, no, it's a, there is a, I will take it separately because time is limited. So social impact assessment firm has to be registered with the SAO, regulated by SAE. So it's a registered firm only. They are regulated one, auditors. I will take it separately. The last one, last, इसको skip करना.
I want to say something different. Everything you are telling, I take that. It takes that.
Sir, I have given, please. सर मुझे 15 मिनट मिले, मैं यहाँ पे आपके साथ 2 घंटे हूँ. जी जी जी
इतना डिस्कस करो, इससे ज्यादा कुछ नहीं चाहिए.
जी सर.
मैं 2 सालों से बीएसपी एनएससी के साथ जुड़ा हूँ
जी
और इनके पर एंट्री करना है.
जी
मुझे कोई भी का फायदा नहीं है.
जी
ये कहते हैं कंसल्टेंट रखो, ईएफआई नहीं जमा करो, आपने ये नहीं किया, आपने वो नहीं किया, आपने ये नहीं. सॉरी टू से, आप बहुत अच्छा लेक्चर कर रहे हैं, जो आप इंग्लिश बोल रहे हैं बहुत अच्छी समझ आती है. जब आपको छोटा सा क्वेश्चन पूछते हैं, मैं ये कोई भी आई विल डिस्कस करते हैं.
सर,
Then when this separation
I can discuss.
ऐसा डिस्कस करें.
सर बिल्कुल नहीं 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 सर, एग्री सर.
हाँ,
सर
आप एक क्वेश्चन डिस्कस कीजिए.
बिल्कुल,
सिर्फ ये रहा है.
मैं इसका जवाब देना चाहूंगा. जी सर.
Project register कर दिया. Reaching out to the donors community. तो वो जो conversation होती है वो कैसी होती है? जैसे आपने कहा कि मैं तो रजिस्टर कर लिया, काफी सारे compliance मैंने क्रिएट कर लिए, राइट? तो
जी.
compliance को लेके कोई क्वेश्चन नहीं रेज करेगा, राइट?
नहीं करेगा वाला चीज तो इंडिया में है ही नहीं सर. सो ओके, मिस्टर विनीत विल, या
Sir, let me.
मैं एक मिनट, प्लीज प्लीज प्लीज, या
That's one. Let me hear your question. So I'm not thinking. Told, starting with I will go a certain corner. You have walked out right. You pointing right. Okay. Right. This is what I want to say. Right. People say no. Please. Here.
Sorry.
यदि इन्वेस्ट करते हैं सोशली तो एक्सेप्ट का रिटर्न नहीं हाँ
Sir, answer the question. Let's take the response, please. Or if you have any more comments, open-ended, we can take them, or I can attempt to answer at least one question. Right?
yeah please
Sir was talking about matchmaking. That एक तरफ NPOs हैं, sir, आपकी, I'm very thankful that you are participating or you are representing one of the most grievous stakeholder.
एसएससी के बारे में तब जानता था जब एक साल पहले इंट्रोड्यूस हुआ तो
Right.
मैंने यूएसए की अखबार में इसको पढ़ा था
Right.
अपने मिनिस्टर साहब को लिखा था
Right.
वहाँ से साहब जब ये कोविड था मुझे वहां से फोन आया था मैंने कहा भाई मैं करता हूँ मैं बाहर नहीं आ सकता
Sir, can I
मीटिंग नहीं मैं करूँगा
okay. I'll just attempt a response to that. And it is a
तब से हमने इसको रजिस्टर कर लिया
very good. I'm very happy. I'm very glad.
हर इस्तेमाल यूज हो चुका है कोई इतनी कंप्लाइंस देनी पड़ती है और ये समय लगता है आपके एसएससी की लोग मुझे नहीं पता क्लास एसएससी के लोग भी इसको अंडरस्टैंड कर रहे हैं नोटिफिकेशन नए नए निकलते हैं
Right.
और मैं कितना पढ़ सकता हूँ आप अंदाजा रहेंगे इस पढ़ने से
Sir, can I come to respond? Yeah. Thank you so much. Sir, we would not shy away from saying that the NPO ecosystem has contributed immensely from social stock exchange to the extent that we come so far. I am absolutely with you, sir, and with you also. कि फंडिंग का कॉन्वर्सेशन कैसे हो कंप्लायंस का कॉन्वर्सेशन तुमने बहुत सारे कर दिया तो ये कल सर ने एक बार रजिस्टर कर लिया दूसरे साल रिन्यूअल कर लिया but please evaluate this from a long term perspective. The best part is that we have a significant set of audience here. Sir, मैं आपको लग रहा है मैं इंग्लिश बोल रहा हूँ but please try and walk with me. अभी जब 10% CSR आया है I cannot make two corporates. One has an annual expenditure of 600 crore. आज सुबह में 11 बजे से 12 बजे तक उनके साथ बैठा हुआ था दूसरा देखा उन्होंने इन्वेस्टर की कंपनी के हम सीईओ को behind it. We are there to support you the duty. Conversation takes time. The stakeholders develop trust with experience with time. And Milan is here, the Gupta is here, the regulator, I can assure you, the regulator, the exchanges, and the ministry are here to support this cause. And Josna Madam will complement what I'm trying to say. Sir, 3 for an ecosystem like social stock exchange is a very short runway or a very short period of time to get frustrated or to kind of give it time to mature. Yes, sir, आगे तो एक महीना भी नहीं हुआ. Yes, sir, that is when we need constant support.
अच्छा पैदा होता है दूसरे भी तो समय
Exactly.
बड़ा करने में
Exactly. And that is what all these different hands are here for. जो जैसे अभी यूनिवर्सिटी में अमेंडमेंट किया with cost 3000 which has been enabled. Enabled का मतलब ये नहीं कि कल को सारे CSR वाले आके ढूंढ रहे थे यार किसको फंड देना. They sure. ये कैसे काम करेगा इसमें क्या challenges होंगे they have to go back to their room. So what I'm trying to tell you is sir am I'm from the exchange side from National Stock Exchange. I empathize with you. I have immense respect for you that after sort of struggle you are here, you have not given up. You are expressing your
मुझे पता है मैंने पढ़ा उससे
right.
राम राज्य था ना उसमें भी सारे खुश नहीं थे
Right.
और नाम उसका राम राज्य था
So correct.
नाम
Correct.
एनजीओ का काम करना ये स्ट्रगल
Right.
ये आसान नहीं है आप गोली करा के किसी से मांग नहीं सकते
Sir,
आप किसी के लिए मांगते हैं
I look at 3 parts. I'll go 3 parts where I can give you confidence in terms of how. I mean, when you आप लोग
बस एक सेकंड
जीपीसी इकोसिस्टम नया होगा, बहुत सारे डिवाइसेस पता नहीं होंगे. I'll spend just 3 areas जहाँ पे exchanges, government, and regulator are coming together to ensure that social stock exchanges flourish. I'll give you 3 examples. Okay. One is these kind of events. Okay, for sure, there is a cost involved, there is time involved. I cannot tell you, we may have at home, there is a conversation happening where my chairman and managing director are there, my manager is sitting. I am not. Right. So this is the level of investment where we are prioritizing these conversations much beyond the conversation that is important for the organization. One.
which is intangible investment. Talk about tangible investments. If you come to purchase from exchange, registration is 5,000 and the annual listing charge is 25,000 rupees. Right? It is amount of investment that the exchange makes for every registration and sir will concur with me एक registration के लिए कितने man hours social stock exchange से जाते हैं. So we are not an NGO, we are a company. Right? So the amount of invest that National Stock Exchange and Bombay Stock Exchange are making financially is huge. There is a regulatory team documents for the years 170 NPOs registered. It's a massive investment from the exchanges in terms of manpower, effort, follow-up, documentation, technology. All of that is happening. We are charging us 5,000 and 25,000 annually. Right? Financially, of course, exchanges have put up a massive efforts with the guidance of SEBI and ministry. Apart from that, there are many stakeholders like BSE, NSE, NABARD, and SIDBI. We have come together with the guidance of our regulators, SEBI and Ministry. We have set up a Section 8 company called Social Stock Exchange Capacity Building Foundation. You can search, this is available publicly. The objective of that Section 8 company is precisely to ensure capacity building. Now that Section 8 company has been registered in April, we are in the process of starting it. We are in the process of using the corpus for capacity building. What I can tell you is the corpus is in crores. The commitment for the government is in 3 digit of crores that we are ready to spend so much amount for capacity building so that the NPO ecosystem. Apart from that, we have for the first 20 issues, we have organized the NPOs to the extent of 5 lakh rupees because there is a ramp up involved. They have to train their staff, they have to invest in technical documentation and all of that. So Mr. Swami is here, who will talk about his experience. So please have trust with the regulator, trust the ecosystem. It is still very nascent. We have full trust. Yes. So let's take a few examples. Let's put a few tangible examples. बहुत काम कर रहे हैं हमें ये देखते हैं रोज एक notification आती है राइट उसके ऊपर नेक्स्ट नोटिफिकेशन आ जाती है अमेंडमेंट राइट काम कर रहे हैं राइट पहले क्या होता था 3 दिन लगते थे अब 3 घंटे में जवाब आ जाता है आई अप्रिशिएट इट यस बट एट द सेम टाइम मेरा सवाल वही है दोनों को कैसे जोड़ना है यस ये समझा रहे हैं but this matchmaking is not going to happen like a marriage proposal जहाँ पे एक स्क्रीन से आपको मिलेगा. It is an ecosystem which has to evolve. We need सारे तरीके बताऊँ मैं. हमें नहीं समझ आता. So better projects and capacity and balance it off. But have not able to make it clear. But investment of crores of fee from the government, a lot of investment from the exchanges is what will make it happen. And I think better participation from the NPO community, the better projects we have, the better the finance are submitted, the better network we have, and such conversations are only then we will be able to succeed. I think one of it. So you are talking about the teaching. Which efforts of yes. So yes, yeah, but a man. Yes. What will happen eventually is your capacity building foundation. You will see platforms study this last one. Right? There are ideas which are going to be picking fluids. It would be ground matter. So these kind of pretty bias which will give birth to the mathematics itself that you are accepting from exchanges as well as the end. So these platforms will evolve for sure with a lot of art and there is money from. So we should so we should not so you know do not have on the other side then give a profit capacity to one. But on the other side. See sessions and such platforms will evolve and have a little more patience. Yes, please एक छोटा सा रिक्वेस्ट कि इतने एफर्ट्स करने के बाद मैंने प्रोजेक्ट अपना डिजाइन किया ये तो श्योर है कि सारे एफर्ट्स डाले होंगे कि चाहिए स्टॉक एसएससी को रजिस्टर किया अपने आप को रखना प्रोजेक्ट लेकर भी आ गया राइट सो एज एन कैन वी एक्सपेक्ट दे हैव कि आप यू हैव एन एक्सेस टू द कॉर्पोरेट हाउसेस अंडरस्टूड तो क्या आप लोग इस कम्युनिकेशन कॉर्पोरेट हाउसेस को दे सकते हैं कि दिस प्रोजेक्ट इज अवेलेबल नाउ यू लाइक राइट व्हाई नॉट यू सब्सक्राइब टू दैट On this, we are governed by SEBI. I will not kind of venture into an area where I'm not authorized to, sir, with due respect. I think the gentleman from SEBI is here. He can guide us because we are a market infrastructure institution. We are not, there's a very, thin line that we have to toe with respect to the regulatory compliances. Extending such support may not be viewed very well by the regulators. We'll have to have a conversation with the regulators.
Then in that case,
सर आपका 30 दिन तक रहता है ना साइट पे अवेलेबल, 30 दिन तक साइट पे अवेलेबल रहता है, वो तो सबके पास ही है, हाँ पिच कीजिए। नहीं नहीं सर, योर डॉक्यूमेंट इज ऑन द, सर 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 sir, communication, your listed project will be there on the 30 days on the website of NSC as well as on your website for the comments, as well as when you are opening, that is just like an IPO. So you have to pitch, you have to identify the corporates, you have to send the mailers. सर नहीं नहीं, मैं कह रहा हूँ सर आपका जो प्रोजेक्ट है वो भी सेम ट्रीटमेंट है।
We have a relevant program, so we have a multiple speakers. They all are here. We have a session, so we want to continue this one so that we can cover all the topics. So it's plus portions because you portion. So I will just cover all set and up. Let them cover all the points.
मैं एक बात बोलना चाहूंगा कि पेशेंस आप लोगों में इतना है, यू आर रनिंग द एनजीओ, कि आप एक बात देखिए कि मेरी स्लाइड का आखिरी थी, एंड इफ यू कीप पेशेंस सबका आंसर, वन थिंग वी एश्योर, वी विल ट्राई टू अटेम्प्ट क्वेश्चंस फ्रॉम एवरीवन, आई विल ट्राई टू, यस, सो प्लीज, या, सो इट इज द लास्ट स्लाइड, यस सर।
हाँ बस पीछे पीछे so just for the benefit of the audience, with the guidance of the regulator, this actual screenshot from our website. In this place,
Yes, sorry.
with respect to the guidance made available by the regulator and the maximum effort that can put it, it's paid on this website, which is for Social Stock Exchange. It covers all the elements. If you can look at the screen on the right hand side, I have put up the complete tabular format, what all information is available. It covers all the existing draft fundraising documents. We, as at the exchange, reach out to the corporates as a part of our structured capacity building and sensitization program. The limitation with us is we cannot promote a particular issue. We cannot promote a particular fundraise. The information is available publicly. It is a platform for voluntary participation for NPOs as well as corporates, and we have to maintain the sanctity of it. So that is the reason why, with all the rigor of capacity building, we, for sir's benefit, we don't do individual communications for individual issues. It is available on the website. As we are having a conversation in an open forum and not in a closed room, similarly, we have communications going out to corporates, but they will not be for a specific issue. That is a limitation where we have to maintain a balance. Else, you would know we would fall on the red line with the regulator. So that is our attempt to make a fair and competitive marketplace. Can you go to next slide? Next slide. So if you look at, go to the previous slide, if you see all the listed projects, the first one was, I mean, you will see all the DFRDs available in the public domain. Correct. So they are as transparent as it gets. All the projects which have raised funds or which have gotten in principle approval are very, yes, please. Right.
comes to CS organization from the NGO.
Right.
There's communication happening between the both organization stakeholder.
Right.
About the project, okay, how to have.
Correct. Correct. Correct.
Create.
Correct.
We can spike you.
Sir, what is your question? Yeah, what is your question?
How should does it stakeholder? If that is even by who supports the NGO or organization and provide a grant to the organization, I provide on the basis of the proposal, right? Whether engage with the organization, understand that project more in detail and negotiate different financial part that we have developed.
Understood. Correct. Correct. So there are. So if I conceptually understand, your problem is how SSC.
It's not wrong.
So if I may, right? We can catch words from each other, but I don't think it is a constructive conversation. So, my idea would be that you're comparing a bilateral CSR donation to something which is happening through the social stock exchange, right? The whole idea of the regulators as well as ministry has been to standardize it, right? You are one donor, there is one more donor on the other side, there's one more donor on the other side, right? How do we ensure that your level of due diligence, right, is the best in class and does not lead to inefficient use of capital? Who is to, I mean, that is where the wisdom of the ministry as well as the regulators has come into play. Do we rely on individuals' judgments? Are the is the understanding of all the ecosystem players mature enough to say that everyone will make a right choice? Or does the ecosystem needs some structured support, which is already exercised by the exchanges, which can be extended to the NPO ecosystem? I'm very glad that you are a very active investor. You are taking that effort to get into the details of that. But the conversations that we have, apart from the top 100 donors or so, and few of them who are really passionate about, as Madam would agree, mostly it is a compliance checkbox. So the level of due diligence that happens, we have heard from board members also in very confidential conversations that there is a trust deficit within the organization. That the board has a question mark saying that whether my CSR fund is being deployed by the team, how much capacity does the team have? How many proposals have they vetted? Is my standard the best in class? Can that standard be trusted? And how is it that my framework is different from my competitors? So these are very, very basic fundamental questions being asked by people who want to be efficient with capital, who want to ensure that the impact is scalable, comparable. So that is where the advantage of social stock exchange comes. For passionate people like you, obviously there could be a question mark that you are superseding what exchange is doing. We are more than proud to learn from you. We will be more than happy to engage with you to learn and tweak as we always do. There are open forums where people come and ask questions, suggest. We have heard from corporates also that the existing 10% provision may not be enough. There are more tweaks required. When that and this is the beauty of this conversation, right? That we as exchanges also learn from expectations. That are we doing better? Are we doing more? Or are we going be too stringent? What are the gaps? What are the loopholes that we need to fill? So, to just answer your question, for passionate people who are really invested in social causes, SSC might come across as a redundant exercise that I'm doing so much. What more will SSC do? But I think we are trying to address a much broader problem where people have a lot of social capital, a lot of money to be invested in social causes, but the efficiency or the credibility becomes a question mark. That is where SSC comes into play, and that is where the wisdom of the ministry and the regulator has been, who have trusted exchanges to be that medium. So I think I'll try and answer. I'll try to attempt in the response to your question. But yes, for passionate people who are real investors on the on social side, SSE might look like a complementary exercise, which we candidly accept.
But you see, SSC,
Yes.
individual who are passionate.
Right.
SR department you can get.
Yes. Yes.
Passionate individual, SSC will help me to vet that. They
Correct.
can also invest in this very cause.
I'm so glad that you have brought it out. As I was saying earlier, also, the giving of the retail donation part in India is 50,000 crore. What we are saying is people who do not have any view of वो पैसा कहाँ जा रहा है, they are investing 50,000 crore. And at least 2 lakh crore is sitting in the pocket. People are not finding the right avenue. मैं कहाँ दूँ, किसको दूँ? उसका देते नहीं है लोग. People hesitate. If I give it to him, he'll do some scam with that money. So can we unlock that capital? We are not competing with other avenues. We are saying that we want to unlock the additional capital. That the capital of cash giving could be 2 lakh crore. We never know. But where do people have the right avenues to invest? So again, thank you so much for complimenting. The retail investor part is something that is the next future, as we can see in the couple of years.
So broker, some broker for market maker, that sort of thing is machine.
So you can no. It is very simple. It is.
The website daily.
I want to know.
Fees of the project. There is some like these steps.
Did I answer that question?
Also that like
Yeah. So you can donate through your Demat account. As simple as that, right? No additional cost is required. As you buy and sell shares, that is how a ZCZP is subscribed through your ICICI Direct, through your Zerodha, as Mr. Gaurav Gupta was also talking about. You are not going to pay any additional cost. Your KYC remains the same. It's just that the regulators and the ministry, in all their wisdom, for the last 3 years, have kind of just looked at the social stock exchange as something which is getting grounded, which has all the proof of concept available. And now we have allowed CSR capital. And eventually, I think something which you all will experience, there is going to be a massive campaign for retail giving, which Madam also knows that we are going to aim something on the likes of mutual fund Sahi Hai. You will see a campaign coming across which will appeal to the retail donor that please consider, please evaluate social stock exchange as an avenue for credible and transparent giving. So let's hope for the future. I think there are so much so around the government that is attempting. Yes, please.
one
Yes, please.
mutual funds के अंदर होता है certain something
Correct, correct, correct.
the question project के अंदर जो impact report सब करता है
Right.
की cost कौन bear करता है?
You can put it in your draft fundraising document. You can put it in it is allowed. Impact assessment cost can be put in the part of your project cost.
Any percentage?
Not yet defined. Right. So the exchanges, I mean, take a call on that. Exchanges. So what has happened? You'll have to appreciate that we didn't want to put up hard rules about everything. Right? The ecosystem is evolving. There could be a few more notifications coming with respect to how the costing has to be adjusted. As of now, there is no cap. But when exchanges review the draft fundraising document, they do raise questions if there is a disproportionate expenditure in that area. Yes, please.
And so they go with other emotional touch.
Sure.
If they are organized,
Right. So, I think we'll have to take a very objective view of this. As I said, capital market does not work on emotions. It works on the efficiency of the marketplace. So we would be no, we as an exchanges, we are not in a position to influence any of this. Right? It's up to the market how it evolves. If there are 15 NPOs who are in healthcare who come and submit their DFRD, so the tilt of the conversation or the fund will go in that direction. So NPOs will have to figure out their opportunity. If there are 15 NPOs who are coming for skilling, they'll draw funds for skilling. So, as an exchange, we are absolutely bound by the regulations. We are bound by the law, and the law says 16 areas are allowed as per qualification in the regulations. Any NPO in any of these 16 areas can come and raise funds. I don't think it is for us as an exchange to comment on which area gets priority, which does not get priority, because there is no priority, it's participation.
that
No, I think I'll
all the policy issue last 43 years, they're not going to change the priority just because the funding is available in uh,
absolutely, I'm not denying that. So correct. So
things.
I think that can come as a suggestion to SEBI, not to us as exchanges. Please relieve us of that pressure. We are here to ensure that the ecosystem flourishes, but in what direction is something that SEBI will have to take a call. One second.
So one question to the same, like you are developing a great system for CSOs, so are you also consulting some of the leading CSOs to know that what could be the challenges and how to it's like do it in a better way? That they also face less problem.
Yes, sir, you are.
CSO will speak.
Yeah. Yes, I think you can hear from the experiences of Unnati Foundation. They have raised fund 3 times. So I think I'm taking away his time. And as unfortunate as it is, I'll have to take a leave. I have a flight at 7. I'm disclosing publicly. My colleague Kaushal is here. He'll stay till the end of the event. And just to introduce Kaushal, he has been with the Social Stock Exchange since its inception. So he knows the in and out of how the exchanges have evolved. He has all the answers that you require. But if you have more questions, feel free to reach out to us. As exchanges, it is our responsibility to fulfill all questions to the extent that the regulations allow. And I think I'll just conclude on one point, madam, that exchanges are here to help you, right, to guide you, but the steps have to be taken by the NPOs. The encouraging part is that the whole ministry, regulators, and exchanges are behind you. They are here to support you, but the steps will have to be taken by the NPOs. That is where I think I'll conclude my conversation. I think my slides are left behind. I think, yeah, yeah,
Thank you, sir. Now, Mr. Ramesh,
yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you.
now request Sir Ramesh, sir, please share your view on SSC. I'm audible. Ah. You are mute, sir, please. I'm audible. Go ahead, sir. Right. Like, I think that just like I said, which is one of the reasons for it. It is a tough thing, but registration, the आसान बहुत आसान registration बहुत आसान USP और registration जरूर आसान का फर्क कोई भी एनपीओ अपने आप से नहीं उनको लगा होगा क्योंकि वो लैंग्वेज उनको देखना पड़ेगा एक तरह छोटे छोटे चीजें रहते हैं आप अगर लॉयल्टी जीवन नहीं है और से पैसा है ये वाला चलता है कि सब थोड़ा थोड़ा कैसे एक चीजों को अगर तो रेडी कर कर बात कर उनको धन्यवाद का चिंता है नहीं but why is it so many Santana two is just happening. 2013 में देखा है तब कंपनी को बोला गया कि आप एक पेड़ करेंगे तो प्रकार की चीजें हैं पर what rates if money just go this is a each other thing. If let me start that think about documentation impact. What is point of the exchange back and because in the walk for it. So that is there's something so complimentary for what's happened now with it. So yes, this what अगर किसी को एक क्वेश्चन होगा शेयर आएगा वो शेयर होगा Thank you so much, sir, for sharing your perspective on SSC. So we love to connect you again. I request you to please share your email address so that global audience will touch with you in case they have any questions related to this topic. Thank you. Thank you so much, sir. Now, as a green initiative, we would like to facilitate our esteemed speaker. Please. Thank you. Now, now we are going to head with another technical sessions. So we have all the panelists with us. I request first I request Ms. Rupa Sibling ma'am, ma'am, CC Advisory Committee of SEBI. Ma'am, join us. इसलिए बेसिकली बैठना पड़ रहा है। आप भी बैठो ना इधर इंसान के लिए पोस्ट है क्योंकि हमारा सी डाउन के डाल दिया डाल के गेम बैक first step in the you secret I request Mr. Kumar, now it is same culture with
I'm so excited.
I know how to understand
I received your email yesterday. Done some bulk emailing.
Certainly, we have sent this essay already. Regarding storing your site. We have sent regarding this.
Okay.
Atmosphere equals none. So first I request the customers, soon. Now, guidance are India. Please share your question.
I just
SSC included.
social impact. Huh?
Thanks.
It's more than it's mobile में देख सकते हैं। ताकि मैं क्या बस एक and it is nice that all representatives of various stakeholders were present in the room to adjust. I wish I could have been there in person. And thanks to Mr. Swami, for having represented interviews of this in this program so well. He is really India's veteran champion, the one who has done it for in the way. And like convince her to join the board of which rank I get it's right. In like first from which one and I'm just one sister and so if I was just share my screen because I'm doing the session remotely, I thought which we can include the loss of communication. I do want to know about hygiene and very and lifestyle as I said is a program of the Trust for Civil Society Information Services India. And prior to coming to sector, Lifestyle Solar Country, उससे पहले मैं गेम में करीब 25 साल से मैं सेंटर में हूँ अभी शायद 26 साल हो गए and prior to that, I was working in the corporate state. FIT in financial services, started being a working bank director. तो मुझे स्टॉक एक्सचेंज जो कॉर्पोरेट साइड में चलता है उसको थोड़ा बहुत मिलता है पर अभी सोशल स्टॉक में लोग हर लाइक I said, is there which works with the curriculum and examination for the SSOs, social impact assessor, the BA Government Council, and the capacity building, I don't know what to look for, but it's for, but the also capacity building fund exists. So I have tried to champion the voice of the non-profit space based on my experience as an institution. सो मैं एक एनजीओ हूँ लेकिन मैं एनजीओ को दूसरे स्टेकहोल्डर्स के साथ कनेक्ट करती हूँ माय रोल हैज बीन दैट ऑफ मैचमेकर माय ऑर्गेनाइजेशन वर्क्स aggregating information about NGOs and building trust in the ecosystem through transparency. कुछ देर पहले हम लोग सुना trust से क्या होता है and today also my topic is the role of these three actors CSR, NGOs, SSC in inclusive development and I deeply care about this topic. Mission of my life, trust, through transparency and only if there is for the last 16 years, I've been trying to, we are an information repository, Lifestyle India report. We have about 21,400 plus organizations. जो voluntarily डॉक्टर पांच ने वॉलंटरी वर्ड यूज किया था कि जो स्टॉक एक्सचेंज में आते हैं वो वॉलंटरी छू के आ रहे हैं कि I want to be a part of this platform, right? So each of the organizations that come voluntarily, the law does not require them to be on our platform and without information, but each one of them is reporting on different 50 different parameters. Okay. There are like platinum, gold, silver, bronze partners. They are reporting on anything between 500,000 parameters. They are organizations. And as Culture India, we believe should trust the post transparency, voluntarily, not and मुझे ये कहने में खुशी हो रही है organizations in India over these last 25 years as I see, many of them come forward and now they वो voluntarily अपना organization का फंड डिस्ट्रीब्यूट करते और Lifestyle India will enable and the platform technology itself. At the same time, as Lifestyle India, we advocate or we support 100% privacy of the individual who runs the organization, community organization, the staff of NGOs network. हम चाहते हैं कि
presentation videos.
something that other people in care of the website, they will funding it. Prior to making happen, I think time has come to the SSC, we are mainstream source of fundraising for our non-profits in the country. तो जैसे मैंने कहा प्राइवेसी के बारे में सोचते हैं हमारे सरकार ने इसे सोचा है राइट चैट ऑलरेडी इंट्रोड्यूस हो गया है मई 2027 से वो कंप्लीटली लागू हो जाएगा तो वाइल all income tax, FCRA, the CSR requirements, HC requirements, they require for transparency. We also have a law in the country that says you need to protect the privacy of the information that you collect, maintain, and report in digital format, and I'm sure all the stakeholders will take care of that. So, for instance, while the age of board members are of interest to board or to investors, कि board का क्या age balance है, individual है क्या, gender क्या होगा इनका. At the same time, you can mark things like PAN and Aadhaar for certain requirements, but I think for the stock exchange, we require earlier higher level. So जैसे कि मैंने कहा to the people from the regulators from SEBI and the SROs in the room and to the PSR representatives because it's the PhD organized event, co-organized event. I just want to say your Harsh Shetty is there in the room. You heard Mr. Swami. In this sector, there has always been tremendous evidence of self-regulation. मैंने ऑलरेडी इसका उदाहरण बताया कितने सारे एनजीओ पब्लिक डोमेन में अपने गाली देते हैं तो हमारा यही रहा है पहले से कि वी हैव टू गो फार बियॉन्ड कंप्लायंस तो जो डिवाइस से 10 में पूछा जाता है या सीआरए के रिजल्ट में मांगा जा रहा है या स्टॉक एक्सचेंज का जो रिपोर्टिंग फ्रेमवर्क है तो उसमें मांगा रहा है एक्चुअली आप देखेंगे तो इससे ज्यादा हम हमारे ट्रेडिशनल फाउंडेशन और इंडिविजुअल डोनर्स को देते हैं, इतना इंफॉर्मेशन हम देते हैं बिट्स एंड पीसेस. Here it is much better organized. And so I would say that let NGOs continue with their experience of being self-regulated. Let it learn. When I look at, Unity Foundation's fundraising documents, I saw certain disclosures, certain statements in governance, which were so well articulated that I'm going to take that and embrace it for Guidestar India certification to strengthen it. And as Guidestar India brought learnings from our experience, we very happily poured into the SSC. And I'm so glad, and I think in an earlier workshop I said that as a representative of the government doing all of this, Delhi has been fantastic in hearing our voice and allowing us sometimes to really increase our decibel level. And I think this has been one of the best collaborative experiences in my career where there is so many players have come together, so many sectors have come together and created something. And therefore, I think it being a success is only a matter of time. We also at Guidestar encourage NGOs. हर्षी ने बोला कि हम कुछ लिखते हैं तो 100 पेज में लिखते हैं, but we work with organizations to tell all the facts about themselves सिर्फ एक सेंटेंस में. तो हमारे एनजीओ का ये काफी अभी एक्सपीरियंस है कि अपना स्टोरी वेरीफाइबल इंटरनेशनल डेटा के साथ में बता सकते हैं. And our certification also covers an NGO from its theory of change, its founders' inspiration, to reporting on, its input, activities, output, outcomes, and long term तो हमारे और लोग डेवलपमेंट स्कूल्स में जाके पढ़ के आए हैं और प्रैक्टिशनर्स यूज करते हैं. And we are fortunate to have Jyotsna ji who has made a very simplified form, and that is actually the spine of the fundraising document. And for friends in our community who might have already left because this program is run for so long, I would say that a very big value add for you is actually coming in the fundraising document, the solution implementation plan the organizations are putting. So in a sense, like I said, 25 साल पहले गिव था और गाइडस्टार इंडिया 16 साल से है. क्रेडिबिलिटी अलायंस है हमारे देश में, लेकिन ये सोशल स्टॉक एक्सचेंज इन कॉन्सेप्ट्स को बहुत ही मेन स्ट्रीम करेगा, बहुत फास्ट फॉरवर्ड ले जाएगा. हम सबको पता है हमारे देश में 95% funding for the social sector comes from government. बाकी 5% है जो आपका रिटेल फंडिंग फाउंडेशन के साथ, HNIs के साथ जो सभी आता है, जो वो सब सिर्फ 5% है. तो उस कॉन्टेक्स्ट में पर्सपेक्टिव में हम अगर देखेंगे कि 500 crore of CSR is going to come into this. Besides that, the million, I don't know whether it is 5 million active now or 10 million active investors, those who have demat accounts, they all are also being accessed, right? And I heard, I think Mr. Swami talk about mutual fund sahi hai campaign. उस type का campaign भी आने वाला है to give an umbrella support to the social stock exchange so that people, and you heard about the capacity building fund with several crore. I told you that I was also a part of it, or I am still a part of it. And that money is going to be used not for marketing single NGOs, but the entire social stock exchange as a very robust infrastructure for people to do good. So I want to say here very quickly that ये जो सोशल स्टॉक एक्सचेंज है, और इनिशियली आई थिंक विनीत जी ने कहा था कि अच्छा है कि ये धीरे धीरे आगे बढ़ा, क्योंकि 8 September 2025 was for me a landmark date. Most of the amendments that came at that time actually really addressed all the pain points of NGOs. And 27th May is like really the best. It's like bursting crackers, opening up the floodgates for NGOs, I would say, because while retail investors may take time to warm up to the idea, वो umbrella campaign होगा, धीरे धीरे try करेंगे, but CSR having opened up is phenomenal. And I think it's a win-win for empathy, CSR, and NGO. What is empathy? Empathy is like the marketplace, right? वो marketplace is not taking anything for itself, it is providing the infrastructure. So CSR में जो corporates है, and if you experiment with 10% of your fund, you will see that this is a great learning experience that you would have. And I suspect that companies will slowly voluntarily start, providing, because companies, good companies or evolved companies don't just contribute CSR, right? They go far beyond the CSR mandate. And I'm going to spend a few minutes on how a company can also make this a collaborative effort to engage investors, employees, customers, and suppliers. So not just your CSR kitty. हमने देखा है, and I've attended programs in the US where, Google and Amazon and Facebook and all of them, they might be competitors in business, but when it comes to philanthropy, they actually collaborate and join hands, because then you can make a much bigger difference on the ground. And similarly, I would say while the CSR team would be looking at this, and CSR also encourages volunteering, etc. The CSR manager is going to play a very pivotal role now, using the SSC, exactly that listing अगर आ रहा है, you can use that as a safe thing to say, my own contribution to CSR would be a matching. So you leverage it further. 5x. So if a company is planning to do 1 crore, they can actually raise 5 crore by engaging their community of investors, employees, depositors, customers, suppliers, and all of that. And we've seen many examples of that. When I used to work in the corporate, as well as we used to do an exhibition called NGO India with a corporate, and that corporate engaged all of their stakeholders in doing NGO India. So many of their suppliers used to give free flex, free infrastructure, furniture for putting up the shows. So I think companies can engage all of these, because the people you interact with, your employees would have their demand accounts, your investors would have. And for you to tell a story, come together, let's do it together, is a great way of bringing this around. I would tell my NGO friends again that when we are interacting with people, we all have different avatars, right? And they wear various hats. So somebody is a CSR decision maker in a company, but maybe a customer also in another avatar, or your donor, or somebody who's running the marathon for you as employee. Who could kind of take you to the CSR manager. So we are going to work with NGOs as Guidestar India, as well as I'm sure the exchanges will do this. Lot of real nuts and bolts sessions where you do your donor mapping, your contact mapping, and you figure out where to kind of reach out for who for your public issue or your listing of your ZCZP. Likewise, within the corporate, the senior team members, the corporate leaders, they might be the HNIs in their personal hat, and some of the promoters and founders must be philanthropists in their personal foundation, their family offices, and they might be heading the board of their own organization, or an independent director in one of the corporates. So we need to start looking at which avatar of a person we want to interact with at what point in time. And like I said, for corporates, this could go beyond just using your CSR kitty. For CSR, why I think the SSC is a great place. SEBI regulated marketplace better than us in the NGO space. The kind of confidence it brings, with tremendous transparency and standardization, I heard somebody say. So, and the exchanges bring for you the credible marketplace. The transaction systems are robust, so you don't have to worry about any leakage of your funds. They have ASBA, so the money that you take out and park. As NGOs, we've had to request them to expand a little bit of their time frames for the ZCZP. So on the financial transaction side, it's a very robust pipeline. The NPOs are vetted thoroughly at multiple levels, and there are multiple disclosures. I know there were some concerns about forms and this, but the forms have been developed with us NGO representatives there, and there were so many changes we made, and so many, the architect of the forms we were given, a lot of opportunity to develop and put them out, and they have been discussed thoroughly. Various stakeholders' concerns have been addressed. So I think for CSR, this is like a big bonus, that you would have standardized, rigorous reporting about the organization, the NGO as a whole, and in depth reporting about the project that is getting listed. And there is this external standardized social impact assessment through the assessors who have gone through rigor.
and ICMI, who's hosting today, see the level of interest they're taking to even do a convening of this kind and not restricting themselves to just working with the assessors. For the CSR as well as the NGOs, there's one very big difference. And having worked with GIVE, which is the philanthropy marketplace, the first fundamental difference for me is when you go to a foundation or you go to CSR, you read the RFP, the request for proposal, और सब NGOs उसको मैच करने के लिए अपने प्रोजेक्ट में थोड़ा बहुत तोड़ मरोड़ करते हैं और करते करते कभी बहुत दूर भी चले जाते हैं. एंड एज गाइड स्टार वी डू दिस थिंग ऑफ MOA में जो ऑब्जेक्ट्स है, क्या ये प्रोजेक्ट उसमें फिट हो रहा है कि बहुत दूर चला गया, एंड देन वी से हेलो, you need to kind of, doesn't happen often, but in about 2 to 3% of organizations that you have evolved and moved very far from your objects, now you need to either amend your objects or you need to kind of go off this project. So this kind of so here what SSC does is, the project owner, NGO के जो लीडर हैं, वो ग्राउंड से जो मुद्दे हैं उसको रिस्पॉन्ड करने के लिए जो भी उनका प्लान है, उनका प्लान ऑफ एक्शन, स्ट्रैटेजी, प्रोग्राम है, वो कंप्लीट फ्रीडम के साथ उसको फ्रेम कर सकते हैं, कंप्लीट फ्रीडम के साथ अपना प्रोजेक्ट का ड्यूरेशन बना सकते हैं, कंप्लीट फ्रीडम के साथ कह सकते हैं ये आउटकम हमें इतने सालों में अचीव करना है, तो वर्किंग बैकवर्ड्स ये साधन हमें चाहिए, ये एक्टिविटीज हम करेंगे और हर स्टेज में हम क्या क्या ट्रैक करते जाएंगे, ये हमारे की परफॉर्मेंस इंडिकेटर्स होंगे. दे टेल ऑल दैट अप फ्रंट. तो आई थिंक मिस्टर स्वामी सेड द कॉस्ट दैट goes into doing this exercise, मैं ये मानूंगी कि ये बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट इन्वेस्टमेंट है एनजीओ के लिए, और ये इन्वेस्टमेंट से सारे क्लास ऑफ डोनर्स एंड फंडर्स को इसका बहुत फायदा होगा, बिकॉज इतनी क्लैरिटी आ जाएगी एनजीओ के दिमाग में जब ये कर रहे हैं. सो यू आर रेजिंग मनी फॉर कम्युनिटी ड्रिवन एंड नॉट donor driven projects, and you have the freedom to decide कितना एडमिन में जाएगा, कितना प्रोग्राम में जाएगा. They are not going to question you that, and it would have been vetted by the exchanges, so there would be a lot of clarity on why that kind of expense is required. You will also get advice on what is program and what is admin, because I see among NGO friends there's lot of lack of clarity in this. Okay, in the interest of time, let me move faster. For corporates, I would say one more thing is that you may be keeping out 10% of your annual expenditure on CSR. You are allowed to invest in ZC, ZP. And somebody might say, I heard in that conversation that was going on that one-to-one interaction नहीं होता है. मैंने गिव इंडिया में जब हम लोग एनजीओस लिस्ट करते थे और प्रोजेक्ट्स लिस्ट करते थे, वो 1-to-1 इंटरेक्शन जो नहीं होता है, उसके लिए हम सारे डोनर्स के जो क्वेश्चंस होते हैं वो सब पहले से इमेजिन करके सब कुछ एड्रेस कर देते हैं, जो फंड रेजिंग डॉक्यूमेंट में आ जाता है. ठीक है, फंड रेजिंग डॉक्यूमेंट 100 पेजेस का होता है, उसमें हर डोनर का जो क्वेरी है वो उसमें प्री आंसर्ड होता है, राइट? I suspect there'll be hardly anything outside of that, and nothing stops having a one-on-one conversation. जब एनजीओ रोड शो करेगा या उसके पहले, वो सबसे पहले अपना फंड रेजिंग डॉक्यूमेंट लेके सीएसआर कंपनीज को एक्टिवली सामने से जाएंगे कि आप इसमें चेक कीजिए, आपको कुछ, इट डजंट मीन देयर विल बी नो कॉन्वर्सेशन बिफोर द लिस्टिंग. एंड आई थिंक मिस्टर स्वामी हैज ऑलरेडी सेड दैट 21 डेज का विंडो है, तब आप आपके सारे सवाल दे सकते हैं, एंड ड्राफ्ट फंड रेजिंग डॉक्यूमेंट से उसका नेक्स्ट वर्जन आ जाएगा. And I would also say corporates that in those conversations, you can identify modules that you specifically want to support. And it might be possible between you and the NGO to arrive at certain understanding as to, if the project is about 200 villages in 5 states, you may say, I will contribute enough to, you try and give me a preference of this state or year one or whatever. Those conversations, I'm sure, are always possible. The intent is to help you give more efficiently and give more. I've already touched upon engaging employees, investors, and others. And I would think over a period of time, आप देखेंगे कि आपका multiplier जो होता है आपका CSR का जो impact का 5x 10x हो जाएगा. You will get a much bigger bang for the buck, and you will enjoy, in my view, the ease of giving. जो सारा डिफिकल्ट काम है वो एनजीओ करने वाला है with the support of the others, the capacity building fund, the exchanges and everybody. The NGO is going to do heavy lifting for the investors, donors, CSR in whatever form, whether it's retail or institutional. You are going to simply enjoy enjoy your giving. Sorry, I think Jyotsna ma'am is reminding me perhaps that I should stop. Is that correct?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Next
If I, yes, ma'am, I'll
slide.
stop.
Yeah.
I'll stop. I'll stop.
You are the next on the list.
No, no, you can do if you want.
It's okay, I'll finish it.
I'll just take 1 second if it's okay. So for NPOs, I have a similar slide. This can be shared. And I would say, things to do have absolutely come to the end. And I would say get started, look at the fundraising documents on the SSCs. And you can also search, preview, and connect with NGOs, the Platinum Gold certified on guidestindia.org. Thank you so much. And so glad that Jyotsna ma'am will take over from here. Thank you.
Thank you, Puspa, for winding up. Since next speaker has to catch flight, so I just have intervened.
Understand, ma'am.
Yeah. So given कौन सा है just not sitting PPT
PPT लिखा है
ऊपर 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 थर्ड नहीं नीचे ICMI सबसे नीचे वाला सी इट्स नाइस अभी आप लोग के साथ बात ये एक टॉपिक में मेरे को अब बात करना है थोड़ा सा मैं जान सकती हूँ कि अभी जो यहाँ हॉल में हैं वो कितने हमारे सिविल सोसाइटी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में है थोड़ा हाथ उठाएंगे अच्छा आप लोग हैं अच्छा और कितने हमारे वो है सोशल ऑडिटर्स हैं 2 3 4 ठीक है और बाकी कॉर्पोरेट्स हैं कोई ठीक है बहुत बहुत बढ़िया तो अभी मैं जो आपके सामने में प्रस्तुतिकरण देने जा रही हूं ये एक के काफी चीज अभी पुष्प जी ने बताया तो मेरा काम काफी हल्का हो गया थोड़ा मेरे को वो देंगे क्या आप यही होगा ना नहीं हेलो हेलो हेलो
That is for slight change.
हाँ ये अभी आप हाँ लाओ जरा थोड़ा सा ना मैं बैठ के बात करने का वही नहीं है मेरा जस्ट काइंडली बेयर विथ मी हेलो हेलो या तो अभी मैंने ये जो बात हुई इसमें मैं इतना ही बताना चाहती हूँ कि ये सोशल स्टॉक एक्सचेंज के प्रोजेक्ट को किस तरह से मतलब बनाने के तरीके को किस तरह से रचित की गई है जिसमें क्या है कि हमारे जो प्रोजेक्ट बनाने वाले लोग हैं जो हमारे एनपीओ पार्टनर्स हैं उनको बहुत स्पेस दिया गया है एक हमने एक बोलते हैं ना एक लक्ष्मण रेखा खींच दे के इस दायरे में आप लोग कुछ भी सोचो आप अपने हिसाब से अपने एनपीओ के हिसाब से आप प्रोजेक्ट अपना फील्ड कर सकते हो ठीक है ये सीएसआर जैसा नहीं है कि किसी मैंडेट से आपको जैसे अभी पुष्पा जी ने बताया है ना तो अभी क्या है ना ये बेसिक एक लॉजिक मॉडल फॉलो करते हैं जो आप सभी को पता होगा है ना लॉजिक मॉडल सबको पता है क्या चीज है एक कोई भी निष्कर्ष में पहुंचने के लिए किस तरह से प्रोजेक्ट को डिजाइन करना है एक एम्स ऑब्जेक्टिव रखते हुए किस टाइप के प्रोजेक्ट में इसका किस टाइप के रिसोर्सेस इनपुट्स जाएंगे किस टाइप का बीच में हमारा क्या एक्टिविटीज होंगे किस टाइप से उन एक्टिविटी का आउटकम होंगे फर्स्ट लेवल आउटकम और इसका कौन किस तरह से प्रोजेक्ट का एक एंड तक, प्रोजेक्ट के समाप्ति तक एक ओवरऑल आउटकम दिखाई देगा, जो हमें लगेगा कि हाँ ये प्रोजेक्ट इंपैक्ट क्रिएट करने जा रहे हैं। ये इसका मतलब ये है। तो इस तरह से जो रचित प्रोजेक्ट है, इसमें आगे नहीं बढ़ाए तो आगे बढ़ाइए। तो अभी आपको मैं हाँ, तो अभी यही चीज मैं आपको बता अभी ये मैंने आपको बताया कि ये अंग्रेजी में मैंने हिंदी में बता दिया है ना, सरल तरीके से। तो आगे बढ़िए जरा। इससे क्या है कि सभी स्टेक होल्डर जो इसमें इन्वॉल्व है, हाँ एक मिनट, हाँ अच्छा एक मिनट, तो अभी एक मिनट, ये ऊपर ऊपर आगे बढ़ना है क्या?
ये नहीं
हाँ
कर रहे,
दो
उससे
नंबर।
कर रहे।
तो अभी क्या है कि ये क्यों इंपॉर्टेंट था इसको वो करने में, क्योंकि इसमें बहुत ज्यादा स्टेक होल्डर्स थे अलग अलग, हाँ, जो क्या है कि सोशल चीज को, क्योंकि हमें बीएससी एनएससी एक्सचेंज के साथ ही काम करने में भी एक ऐसे सूत्रधार में सभी स्टेक होल्डर को बांधना था, जिससे क्या है कि हमें इसमें क्या है कि बनाने के तरीका भी सही हो, बनाने के तरीका भी सरल हो, और उसमें क्लियरली आउटकम डिफाइन कर सके। उसके साथ साथ ये बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट था कि मैं आगे जाके थोड़ा बात मत करिए। तो अभी क्या है कि ये बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट था कि इसका फंडर्स के, इन्वेस्टर के, थर्ड पार्टी ऑडिटर्स के, जो थर्ड पार्टी ऑडिटर आप लोग जो हैं, उनको भी सोशल चीज के बारे में इतना पता नहीं होता है। तो अभी क्या है ना, सबको एक सूत्र में बांध के एक अंडरस्टैंडिंग लाने। ये सब क्यों किया गया? ये इसीलिए किया गया कि सोशल करेंसी का वैल्यू क्रिएट करना सोशल स्टॉक एक्सचेंज का काम है, सेबी का काम है। तो इसीलिए ये इस तरह से बनाई गई एक फ्रेमवर्क है, जिसमें ये गाइडलाइन क्या है कि सोशल ऑडिटर को भी एक सूत्र मिल गया कि उनको इवैल्यूएट कर, जब आपके काम का इवैल्यूएशन करने के लिए जाते हैं, तो वो क्या है ना, आपके साथ में पर्टिनेंट क्वेश्चन पूछ सकते हैं। नहीं तो कभी कभी ऐसा होता है कि किस फील्ड से आए, कुछ दूसरे क्वेश्चन पूछ दिया, या तो ऐसा होता है कि कोई एक लिस्ट लेके गए और समझे ना समझे ऐसे ऊपर ऊपर क्वेश्चन पूछ के टिक मार्क करते जा रहे हैं। तो ये बहुत ज्यादा सीएसआर प्रोजेक्ट में भी होता है। तो ये बहुत ही इंपॉर्टेंट है, सभी स्टेक होल्डर को इसको समझे, और इसको समझने के बाद सभी स्टेक होल्डर इस हिसाब से काम करें। और इन सभी काम करने का ये बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है कि इसको सारा रचने की जिम्मेदारी हमने एनपीओ पार्टनर्स को देके रखा है। ये हम ऊपर से कुछ नहीं कर रहे हैं, हाँ। तो उसके बाद में नहीं, कोई बात नहीं। तो अब ये है ना, ये क्यों इंपॉर्टेंट है जानना, ये क्या है कि नॉर्मली क्या होता है कि प्रोजेक्ट इस तरह से रचित होता है कि हम पहले, ये विशेषकर एनपीओ पार्टनर्स के लिए इंपॉर्टेंट है, हम प्रोजेक्ट सोचते हैं तो पहले इनपुट से सोचते हैं, इनपुट, आउटपुट, आउटकम, ओवरऑल आउटकम। पर ये सोचना है हमें कि ये बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है, पहले हम इंपैक्ट को सोचते हुए हम ओवरऑल प्रोजेक्ट के अंदर मैं क्या करने जा रही हूँ, इस टाइप का मेरे को मैं विजन करूंगी, और उसके बाद में हम फिर आते हैं इसके लिए जो भी हमें आउटपुट चाहिए, हाँ, क्या चीज करने से ये होगा प्रोजेक्ट के अंदर तक, और इस टाइप से इनपुट के क्या रिसोर्सेज चाहिए, फिनेंशियल, नॉन फिनेंशियल, सब कुछ, हाँ। अगर हम इनपुट से डिजाइन करेंगे तो क्या होता है कि we'll miss wood for the trees basically, normally ये होता है, हाँ। तो इसमें अभी क्या है कि to be used as enabling framework, ये क्या है कि स्ट्रेट जैकेट वे में यूज नहीं करना है। विशेषकर जो प्रोफेशनल, जो फाइनेंस के उसमें है, जो विशेष रूप से सोशल इम्पैक्ट ऑडिटर्स हैं, हाँ, जो सोशल फील्ड से आए, मोस्टली मतलब जिस फील्ड के डोमेन हैंडल समझ जाते हैं, नहीं हैंडल कर रहे हैं, उनकी भी दिक्कत होती है। तो ये क्या है कि एनएबलिंग फ्रेमवर्क के रूप में इस्तेमाल किया जाना है। और जिसमें बहुत फ्लेक्सिबिलिटी दी गई है इंटरेस्ट के ऊपर, किस तरह से आप डिसाइड करोगे, जैसे भरोगे वैसे करोगे आप। और उसके बाद में ये क्या है कि एक हेल्दी डायलॉग, क्योंकि इतने स्टेक होल्डर्स हैं, तो हमारा काम बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट था कि ऐसे हम प्लेटफॉर्म दे, इस टाइप से फ्रेमवर्क बना दे, ताकि सभी स्टेक होल्डर, जब प्रोजेक्ट आगे बढ़ता जाता है, ईयरली इम्पैक्ट इवैल्यूएशन होता जाता है, तो हम आप लोग के साथ में बहुत आसानी से एक दूसरे से बात करके चीजों को आगे ले जा सके। और इसके बाद में तो ये क्या है कि ये इंपॉर्टेंट है कि जो आपका की परफॉर्मेंस इंडिकेटर है, उसको मतलब है कि जब फंडिंग के टाइम में ही जो फंड देने वाले हैं और लेने वाले हैं, उनके बीच में टाइम होना जरूरी है कि मेरा प्रोजेक्ट किस स्तर में, किस समय में, ईयर 1 में, ईयर 2 में, ईयर 3 में किस प्रकार से मेरा प्रोजेक्ट के परफॉर्मेंस को नापे जाएंगे, उसके की इंडिकेटर क्या क्या होंगे, ये देखना इंपॉर्टेंट है। और सभी चीज में बार बार मैं रिपीट करना, फोकस ऑन आउटकम, जो प्रोसेस और इसमें अभी ये जैसे आप देख रहे हैं प्रोजेक्ट आपका, जो ये यहाँ से लॉन्ग इनकम को देखते हुए फिर प्रोजेक्ट जाएगा शॉर्ट टर्म करके, ये होगा। तो हमेशा हमने लर्निंग लुक को ईयरली इम्पैक्ट इवैल्यूएशन में आप देखेंगे ऐसे ऐसे क्वेश्चन पूछे गए हैं, जिसमें आपको बहुत स्पेस दिया गया है कि हम ईयरली जो भी आपका काम समाप्त नहीं कर पाए, तो क्या ऐसे कारण रही, आप थोड़ा बता देंगे कि हाँ ये जेन्युइन कारण के कारण हम ऐसे ऐसे नहीं कर गए, तो फिर वो सोशल इम्पैक्ट रजिस्टर उसी हिसाब से उसमें व्यू देगा। और इसमें ये भी है कि 3 साल से ज्यादा, हाँ, 3 साल से ज्यादा का प्रोजेक्ट हो, तो उसका मिनिमम इवैल्यूएशन भी रखा गया। इसमें आप समझते हैं कि हाँ हम इतना कर पाएंगे, इतना इस कारण के साथ हो सकता है कोई कंपोनेंट में थोड़ा चेंज करना पड़े, उसके लिए भी हमने आप लोगों को चेंज नीचे रखा है। तो ये मिड टर्म इवैल्यूएशन का है। तो लगातार जो भी आउटकम आएंगे, जो आउटपुट है, उससे आपके एक्टिविटीज में आपको सोच विचार करने का और उसी हिसाब से आपको आगे बढ़ने का स्पेस दिया गया है। और उसके बाद में ये जैसे आपने देखा, ये आपने देखा कि जैसे प्रोजेक्ट का प्री प्रोजेक्ट इंप्लीमेंटेशन, हाँ, ये क्यों इंपॉर्टेंट है, इसका इंप्लीकेशन क्या है कि प्री प्रोजेक्ट इंप्लीमेंटेशन के लिए भी जो भी आपको कई सारा चीज करना होता है, कि जब तक हम प्री प्रोजेक्ट इंप्लीमेंटेशन में सही ढंग से आपके बेनिफिशियरीज को टारगेट नहीं कर पाएंगे और आपको स्टाफ को ओरिएंट नहीं कर पाएंगे, बेसलाइन स्टडी सही ढंग से नहीं कर पाएंगे, तो आपको जो जो फाउंडेशन है वो बहुत वीक होता है। तो इस तरह की चीजों के लिए भी स्पेस देके रखा है, आप सोच विचार के इस तरह की चीजों के लिए भी फंड रख सकते हैं। और आगे जैसे बढ़ेंगे, प्रोजेक्ट स्टार्ट होता है, मिड टर्म आता है, एंड टर्म आता है, उसी हिसाब से आपका प्रोजेक्ट का एक्टिविटी और उसके बाद में आउटपुट आउटकम, तो इसी हिसाब से लॉन्ग टर्म आउटपुट को पूरा किया जाना है। अब मैं विशेष काम उसमें आती हूँ, ये सारा क्यों इम्पोर्टेंट है, इस तरह से क्यों रचित की गई है, क्यों किया गया है ना? ये इसीलिए है कि इसमें भी जो हमने गाइडलाइन इसे रखा है, इसमें रीच डेप्थ एंड इंक्लूजन का एक क्या सोशल एनवायरमेंटल कल्चरल प्रोजेक्ट के लिए अलग से एक वो देखे रखा है, कई क्या है कि इंडिकेटर्स देखे रखा है, जिसके तहत आप लोगों को इसको देखना है। और उसके बाद में आगे जब जाएंगे, तो इसमें आपका ओवरऑल केपीआई, आपका केपीआई मतलब की परफॉर्मेंस इंडिकेटर, आप अपना ड्राफ्ट फंड रेजिंग डॉक्यूमेंट, अभी डीएफआरडी बोल रहे थे, इसका मतलब ड्राफ्ट फंड रेजिंग डॉक्यूमेंट, उसके बाद में जो आपका की परफॉर्मेंस इंडिकेटर है, वो आपका एक्सटर्नल और इंटरनल होता है। तो आपका कभी ऐसा नहीं है कि सब की परफॉर्मेंस इंडिकेटर आपको थर्ड पार्टी इम्पैक्ट इवैल्यूएटर
जो हमारे एसआरओ के हैं वो लोग आके करेंगे, ऐसा नहीं है। एनजीओ आप अपने हिसाब से क्लियरली डिलीवर कर सकते हैं, ये मेरा इंटरनल इवैल्यूएशन अपना मैनेजमेंट एंड कंट्रोल के लिए है, केवल लीडिंग इंडिकेटर है। ये इसलिए मैं बोल रही हूँ कि आपको प्रोजेक्ट का ट्रांजैक्शन कॉस्ट को कम करने के लिए ये बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है कि आप डिसाइड करना ये इंटरनल केपीआई है। ये 10 केपीआई नहीं, ये केवल 3 ऐसे केपीआई है की परफॉर्मेंस इंडिकेटर जो थर्ड पार्टी आके ईयरली इवैल्यूएशन है। और मेरा इंटरनल, ये 7 मेरा इंटरनल है, जो मेरा इंटरनल मैनेजमेंट एंड कंट्रोल में मेरे को इस्तेमाल करना है। पर अंततः जाके कि इंटरनल कंट्रोल और मैनेजमेंट के जो की परफॉर्मेंस इंडिकेटर है वो एक्सटर्नल केपीआई को यूज करेगा, ठीक है ना। तो वो इस हिसाब से ये प्लीज वहां बात मत करिए क्वेश्चन। तो अभी क्या है कि बोथ मेजरेबल और ये भी है, ये भी मान के चलते हैं कि सब इंडिकेटर मेजरेबल नहीं होता। कोई मेजरेबल होगा जो हो सकता है मेजर करो, नहीं मेजर कर सकते हैं तो ये है कि कम से कम ऑब्जेक्टिवली वेरीफाइबल होना जरूरी है, ठीक है ना। तो इसके बाद में तो मीन्स ऑफ वेरिफिकेशन, आपको प्रोजेक्ट शुरू करने में ही डिसाइड करना है कि उसका मीन्स ऑफ वेरिफिकेशन, मैं इस प्रोजेक्ट का ये वेरीफाइबल है, पर इसको वेरीफाई करने का क्या माध्यम है उसको भी बता देना बहुत जरूरी है। और ये चीज फंडर और फंडिंग में तय होना जरूरी है। और इसके बाद में अब आगे बस एक स्लाइड होगा, अब ये है, अब ये क्या है कि डिजाइनिंग प्रोजेक्ट, और ये क्या है कि सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट है हमें देखना है कोई भी प्रोजेक्ट को, क्योंकि ये सेवी से थ्रू हो रहा है प्रोजेक्ट, है ना, सेवी से थ्रू हो रहा है प्रोजेक्ट, ये बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है। कोई भी सोशल प्रोजेक्ट हो उसका एनवायरमेंटल इम्पैक्ट क्या है, पोटेंशियल अनइंटेंडेड नेगेटिव आउटकम कोई है इस प्रोजेक्ट का, मैं अच्छा काम कर रहा हूँ पर उसका अगर ये है तो हमें देखना है कि उसका मिटिगेशन मेजर क्या मैं रख सकता हूँ, इसके लिए फर्क रखना है प्रोजेक्ट। अगर लगेगा आपको तो हाँ मिटिगेशन मेजर को रखते हुए भी ये मतलब प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व नहीं होगा, इसका नेगेटिव इम्पैक्ट ज्यादा है पॉजिटिव होते हुए भी, शॉर्ट टर्म में पॉजिटिव है पर लॉन्ग टर्म में नेगेटिव हो सकता है, तो उस प्रोजेक्ट को छोड़ना बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट। इसको बोलते हैं पोटेंशियल अनइंटेंडेड नेगेटिव आउटकम, हाँ इसको परखना है। उसके बाद में इम्पैक्ट का टाइमलाइन, हाँ अभी कई सारा है कि आपका सोशल प्रोजेक्ट जैसे एक हिसाब से एजुकेशन और ये सब तो आपका एक क्या है ना पर यूनिट में भी कर सकते हैं, इन्वायरमेंटल इम्पैक्ट का डिस्कशन पीरियड ज्यादा हो, तो हमें आप केयरफुली रखना इम्पोर्टेंट है कि एनवायरमेंटल प्रोजेक्ट का डिस्कशन पीरियड को हैंडल करने के लिए। और उसके बाद में ये बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है, एनजीओ पार्टनर्स के लिए बोल रही हूँ कि प्री प्रोजेक्ट इंप्लीमेंटेशन का टाइम एंड फंड, जैसे मैंने बोला 3 चीज के लिए फंड चाहिए होगा, हाँ। और उसके बाद में ये बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है कि आपके हिसाब से, क्योंकि वहां पर आपका ये इंपॉर्टेंट है काफी स्टेज दिया गया है, आप स्टेक होल्डर के साथ बात प्रोजेक्ट वर्कशॉप और इसमें ये सोशल स्टॉक एक्सचेंज के प्रोजेक्ट में सस्टेनेबिलिटी पर बहुत ध्यान, तो उसके लिए क्या है कि ये इंपॉर्टेंट है कि जो भी स्टेक होल्डर जिनके लिए काम पार्टनर है उसमें नॉर्मली क्या होता है प्रोजेक्ट फॉर्मिंग होता है और कोई संस्था होता है एसएजी गवर्नमेंट अथॉरिटी का फॉर्म होने का, तो ये बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है कि सोशल स्टॉक एक्सचेंज के प्रोजेक्ट जो आती है उसमें आपको फॉर्म कर दिया जाता है, तो हमने कम्युनिटी बुक सबके साथ कम्युनिटी बुक है, उनके बीच में बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है यदि आप प्रोजेक्ट को सस्टेनेबल बनाना है। इस प्रोजेक्ट में हमारा एक है तुम्हारा, इसमें बीच में ये दिक्कत आ सकते हैं तो क्या आप इसमें पार्टिसिपेट करने के लिए आ जाएंगे, और मेरा इस प्रोजेक्ट का हम इतना सब इस प्रोजेक्ट के लिए इतना दे सकते हैं, पर उसका विथड्रॉ प्रोटोकॉल क्या हो, विथड्रॉ प्रोटोकॉल का मतलब क्या है कि टेक
इम्पोर्टेंट कि केवल मॉनिटरिंग एंड इवैल्यूएशन का जो मॉनिटरिंग हमारे एसआरओ के लिए जो आएंगे आपका सोशल इम्पैक्ट असेसमेंट के लिए अलग चीज है। ये केवल इसको लॉन्च मान के इसके साथ साथ आपको नॉलेज मैनेजमेट फंड भी रखना है एमएनई फंड के कारण। ये क्यों रखना है कि जैसे बोले कि एनजीओ बहुत हटके काम करते हैं, परंतु होता क्या है कि उनको क्या है ना अपना नैरेटिव बिल्ड करने के लिए प्लीज बात मत करिए, नैरेटिव बिल्ड करने के लिए उनके पास फंड नहीं होता, ठीक है। तो इसीलिए इम्पोर्टेंट है कि कोई रिपोर्ट आए वो रिपोर्ट को अच्छी तरह से प्रस्तुत कर प्रचार प्रसार से फैलाना हो, बाकी शेयर करना हो, उसके लिए उनकी लर्निंग बेस्ट प्रैक्टिसेस। तो इसके लिए भी आपको ये एमएनई के साथ में नॉलेज मैनेजमेंट फंड रखना बहुत जरूरी है। उसके बाद में एडवर्सेंस एंड रिस्क, हाँ ये कई बार ऐसा होता है कि प्रोजेक्ट को हमने ये मान के हमने यूज किया, कई बार मार्केट का हाव चेंज होता है, कई बार पॉलिसी का हाव चेंज होता है, तो पहले से सोचना भी बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है। हाँ ये काम मैं यहाँ कर सकता हूँ, मेरा आउटकम यहाँ होगा, बरसते गवर्नमेंट ने इसके लिए कोई सब्सिडाइज प्रोग्राम न लाए। यदि गवर्नमेंट ने इसके लिए सब्सिडाइज प्रोग्राम लाएगा तो मेरे प्रोजेक्ट फेल होगा। तो ऐसे चीज को भी आपको पहले से सोच के आपको क्लियरली बता देना बहुत जरूरी है, ठीक है ना। मार्केट का भी ऐसे ही है और मार्केट का चेंज होता है, तो इसका भी थोड़ा सा सोच विचार के बताना जरूरी है। उसके बाद तो जो प्रोटोकॉल, इस प्रोटोकॉल मतलब प्रोजेक्ट से आगे प्रोजेक्ट को बंद करने के लिए मतलब समय नहीं, उसके लिए चाहिए वो हमारा एग्जिट प्रोटोकॉल पूरे प्रोजेक्ट के प्लानिंग से लेकर प्रोजेक्ट के प्रोसेस में आपको ये बहुत इम्पोर्टेंट है देखना कि आपका किस तरह से आप मतलब आपका प्रोजेक्ट वाइंड अप होगा, जनता क्या भागीदारी निभाए, स्टेक होल्डर कैसे आगे आएंगे प्रोजेक्ट के बाद में जो काम आपने किया है उसको और पॉजिटिव तरीके से आगे ले जाने के लिए ये बहुत इम्पोर्टेंट है। तो क्या है कि इसके लिए बहुत इम्पोर्टेंट है कन्वर्ट, मतलब कहाँ से रिसोर्स ला सकते हैं, फिनेंशियल नॉन फिनेंशियल रिसोर्सेज। केवल ये है कि एसएससी प्रोजेक्ट में ही नहीं देखना है, पर उसको आप उत्तम बनाने के लिए कैसे आप अपना इंजीनियरिटी से क्रिएटिविटी से रिसोर्सेज लाके और अच्छा कर सकते हैं। कॉन्ट्रीब्यूट मतलब इवन जनता कैसे कॉन्ट्रीब्यूट कर सकता है प्रोजेक्ट के लिए, उनका स्टेक बढ़े, जितना स्टेक बढ़ेगा वो उतना ही प्रोजेक्ट को आगे ले जाएगा। उसके बाद सस्टेन, और उसके बाद में बी फ्लेक्सिबल टू इवॉल्व, बिकॉज हाँ ये हमने ये अभी तक आपको बता दिया था मिड-टर्म और बजट टू बी एलोकेटेड अकॉर्डिंगली इन मिड-टर्म फ्लेक्सिबल, तो इसको थोड़ा बहुत मॉडिफिकेशन का स्पेस दिया गया है। आई थिंक है बस धन्यवाद। तो इसमें आपको मैं थोड़ा सा निर्णय आ रही थी कि वास्तविक रूप में ये प्रोजेक्ट का परमानेंट थीम कैसा होगा सोशल स्टॉक एक्सचेंज के प्रोजेक्ट का। तो इसी हिसाब में हमारा एनएससी बीएससी आपके ड्राफ्ट फंड डॉक्यूमेंट को पढ़ेंगे और इसको आपको आगे ले जाने के लिए आपके साथ काम करेंगे। हाँ जी बताइए। हाँ
अगर मैं एक 10 साल का प्रोजेक्ट लेके चल रहा हूँ गवर्नमेंट से रिलेटेड प्लांटेशन, I have involved the NGO, I have involved the community, means Panchayati Raj institution into that, and corporate also is there. You people are also there, SSBs is also there. After 3 years, the PRI members who have signed a norm, we will take care of all things because this is coming under our Panchayat. The whole set has changed. And they came and they said, no, this is not our priority. Now we are more concentrating towards drinking water. What will happen then?
See,
you are.
Breach of norm. There will be breach of norm because the panchayat set has created that. New panchayat people are not. Where is the role of SSC into that?
See, as yes, your question is very correct. It's very pertinent. Now you will be upfrontly telling in the assumptions and risks. We will be successful provided the next panchayat team will be supporting us to take this forward. 3 ईयर प्रोजेक्ट है, ठीक है, पर आपको पता है कि वो पेड़ तो आपका 7-8 साल में ही बड़ा होगा, उससे पहले तो नहीं होता है। तो हम ये है कि ये हमारा कमिटी है। नॉर्मली तो क्या है कि पंचायत में क्योंकि एक प्रोजेक्ट गांव में जाता है तो गांव के सभी लोग इन्वॉल्व होते हैं। एक दो का तो प्लांटेशन नहीं होता क्योंकि कॉमन प्रॉपर्टी रिसोर्स में होता है वो, है ना। तो इसमें क्या है कि ये क्या है कि इस टाइप का प्रोजेक्ट नहीं है जो नेचुरल रिसोर्स मैनेजमेंट का है, जिसमें कम्युनिटी का इन्वॉल्वमेंट बहुत रहता है। तो उसमें और इंपॉर्टेंट होता है डिफाइन करना, वी विल बी सक्सेसफुल प्रोवाइडेड दी दी पॉलिसी फ्रेमवर्क कंडीशंस, मतलब ये पंचायत का विल रिमेन सेम इन द नेक्स्ट term of panchayat people, group of panchayat people who will be elected. तो ये इस टाइप से डिफाइन करके कर देंगे। तो ऐसा नहीं है, प्रोजेक्ट सक्सेस को होना ही होना है, पर ये है कि यहाँ पर जो प्रोजेक्ट बनाने का एक फ्रेमवर्क डिफाइन कर दिया है, उसमें कोई भी ऐसी चीज को नहीं छोड़ा है जिसमें आप लोग फेल भी हो तो वो बिना अंडरस्टैंड किए फेल हो सकता है, क्योंकि प्रोजेक्ट सोशल प्रोजेक्ट एज सच इज डिफिकल्ट, इसीलिए इस टाइप की स्पेस दिया गया है। तो आपका क्या है ना, एजम्पशंस में आप यदि लिखेंगे, रिस्क में लिखेंगे, हाँ, रिस्क तो ये है कि आपका इंटरनल चीजों को रिस्क बोलते हैं, हाँ, विद इन आपका। मेरा प्रोजेक्ट फेल हो गया यदि हमारा, क्योंकि हमारा बहुत सीईओ बहुत, हमारा क्या है ना, फाउंडर बहुत स्ट्रांग है, यदि फाउंडर को कुछ हो जाएगा ये प्रोजेक्ट फेल, ये रिस्क हो गया। परंतु एजम्पशंस ऐसे कि जो एक्सटर्नली ऐसे कंडीशंस हैं जो मतलब प्रोजेक्ट को फेल करा सकता है या तो इम्पैक्ट को फेल करा सकता है, इन चीजों को आप मेंशन करके रख देंगे तो कम से कम नेक्स्ट पंचायत के लोग आएंगे तो ये कम से आप बात भी कर सकते हैं कि ये प्रोजेक्ट यहाँ है, हमने ये करके रखा था और ये हमारा एजम्पशंस में ये है, क्या आप लोग इसको सपोर्ट कर सकते हैं? आप सपोर्ट करो तभी आगे जाएगा। जनता तो जनता है, उन्होंने वोट देके रखा है, कोई ऐसे तो है ही नहीं कि बाहर से आए हुए लोग हैं, है ना। तो ये अब ये है ना, हम अभी क्या है ना, फुल प्रूफ तो नहीं बना सकते क्योंकि सोशल प्रोजेक्ट है, परंतु हम ऐसे अंतरों को रख सकते हैं जिसमें हमारे जो एनपीओस है और प्रोजेक्ट का इम्पैक्ट क्रिएट करने में ये सभी आयाम को हम एड्रेस करते हुए चले तो लगता है कि सेफ्टी नेट अधिक होगा एक प्रोजेक्ट का इम्पैक्ट को दिखाने के लिए।
वो 1 या 2 साल तक तो ठीक रहती है, उसके बाद जो लॉन्ग टर्म प्रोजेक्ट होते हैं उनमें बड़ा रिस्क हो जाता है, एक्सटर्नल फैक्टर्स बहुत सारे हो जाते हैं, तो ऐसे में प्रोजेक्ट में रिस्क बढ़ता है। तो जैसे इन्होंने बताया कि 10 साल का ड्यूरेशन है, तो 10 साल के ड्यूरेशन में तो बहुत कुछ चेंज हो जाता है, पॉलिसी चेंज हो जाती है, तरीके चेंज हो जाते हैं, टेक्नोलॉजी चेंज हो जाती है, तो ऐसे में 2-3 साल तक का तो फिर भी रीजनेबल है प्रोजेक्ट।
अभी का प्रोजेक्ट, अभी जो एसएससी में दिया गया है ना, अभी आपका जो सीएसआर प्रोजेक्ट है अभी जो एक्सेप्ट किया गया वो 3 साल के लिए
जनरली,
अभी 3 साल के लिए,
तो 3 साल तक का ही ठीक है।
प्रोजेक्ट है वो ज्यादा भी हो सकता है, पर अभी जो आपका सीएसआर फंडिंग से करना है उसमें 3 साल का प्राविधान रखा गया है।
मैम 3 साल का प्रावधान है, लेकिन 3 साल के बाद हम उसको फर्दर भी आगे एक्सटेंड कर सकते हैं, ये प्रावधान भी है।
बिल्कुल,
हाँ, तो अगर
सेगमेंट वाइज
केस लेके चल रहे हैं, प्रोजेक्ट लेके चल रहे हैं, तो वो 3 साल का तो मैं रखूंगा नहीं, वो 10 साल का रखूंगा, और 10 साल और उसको डिफरेंट टाइम पे हम करेंगे। एक मेरा और कंसर्न था कि आपके जो ये आएंगे एसेसर्स आएंगे इन बिटवीन, और अगर ये केस से फ्लॉप हो चुका है तो वो पूरे प्रोजेक्ट को फ्लॉप प्रोजेक्ट के श्रेणी में डाल देंगे, तो आगे फिर दिक्कत होगी उन लोगों को।
वैसे ये प्लेटफॉर्म जो बनाया है इन्होंने बहुत ज्यादा वायबल हो नहीं रहा है, इसकी जगह ये इसमें करना।
जो प्रोजेक्ट आप लेना चाहते हैं ना, मतलब काम कोई भी एग्रो फॉरेस्ट्री का ही कर रही है, वो अच्छा काम करना चाहते हैं, पूरे प्लानिंग के साथ करना 3 साल भी काफी है। ये ऐसा नहीं कि 10 साल का ले जाए, क्योंकि उसको इतना जमीन ही नहीं मिलना। ये भी तो है, वो तो जमीन चाहिए ना, तो जमीन है तभी तो करोगे। हाँ, तो ये बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है। आपको किसी का खेत खलिहान में भी एग्रो फॉरेस्ट्री करना, इतना जमीन नहीं देंगे। तो ये आपको, ये तो एक इमेजिनेशन भी नहीं, मैं बोलती हूँ कि ठीक है प्लान करना, पर उस हिसाब से जहाँ तक स्टेट का प्रोजेक्ट हो, क्योंकि गवर्नमेंट अपने पैसे से चला सकते हैं, क्योंकि गवर्नमेंट का तो अपना रिस्क है ही नहीं। पर जो रिस्क बेयर करने वाले लोग हैं, उनको बहुत स्मार्ट प्रोजेक्ट, बहुत टाइमली प्रोजेक्ट, बहुत कम समय के लिए, बहुत टारगेटेड वे में जो इम्पैक्ट भी दिखाई दे, उस हिसाब से करना मुझे लगता है कि वो इम्पोर्टेंट होगा। और उसके साथ साथ जैसे एक प्रोजेक्ट समझ लो, अभी कई सोशल स्टॉक एक्सचेंज में ये प्रोजेक्ट है जिन्होंने एनवायरमेंटल प्रोजेक्ट लेके रखा है। हाँ, और उन्होंने क्या किया है कि उन्होंने अभी सेकेंड टाइम भी लिस्टिंग कर रहा है, क्योंकि अभी उनका लॉन्ग टर्म इम्पैक्ट तो नहीं दिखाई दे रहा, पर ये कि हाँ, इन्होंने जो आउटपुट और आउटकम पूरा किया हो, इम्पैक्ट तो बाद में दिखाई देगा। पर ये है कि हाँ, इनका आउटकम सही है, ऑडिट रिपोर्ट सही है, इन्होंने फिर दोबारा अपना एक्सचेंज में अपना लिस्टिंग के लिए डाल के रखा।
तो 3 साल का जो प्रोजेक्ट है, उसमें ऐसा भी कोई प्रेफरेंस है कि कितना परसेंटेज कैपेक्स होना चाहिए, कितना ऑपेक्स होना चाहिए, ऐसा कुछ?
ना, इतना नहीं है। कौशल है,
कौशल नहीं, विक्रम नाम है।
नहीं, कौशल और एजेंसी से आया। आपका टाइम, सॉरी, हाँ सॉरी, मैं इनको फ्लाइट को करना है, मैं
इनको फ्लाइट पकड़ना तो इनको पहले करना था ना।
सॉरी, एकदम
बाहर देख जाता है।
एनएससी से भी आए हैं ना कौशल, उसके बाद बात करेंगे। बुलाओ जरा कौशल को।
Can you hear me? Okay. Good evening. I know that it is late. No problem. It is very sort of educated. So I thought that it is better for people to understand this better. So that's the reason. Thank you all for the time. First and foremost, I wanted to thank PhD Chambers of Commerce for giving us this opportunity. As you know, only on May 27th, the Gazette notice was put forward. I was released. And within a month, they have organized this meeting, brought together social impact assessors, NGOs, as well as corporates. So it's a very important thing. The time is very critical. It can generate such kind of amount of investments if we can bring together all these three organizations. Very briefly, next slide please. Okay, this is just one brief slide about who we are. We are three of us, myself, Gautam, can you just wave your hand, and Subrato, can you wave your hands? All three of us were working for the US Embassy till 1 year back. We were working in a comfortable position and we were there till the President of US decided that USAID as an organization has to be closed. So USAID was closed last year, and then we decided, okay, let's start our own organization because we wanted to be committed to the social work. We have been working with social organizations, social enterprises, governments, so we wanted to continue the good work. So that's why we started this company called Impact Scale Ventures. We work with NGOs, social enterprises, corporates, government bodies, business associations, health facilities, research organizations, and impact industry. This is the wide canvas of organizations that we are working. It's less than 1 year since we have started the operations, but we have got a fair amount of interest from all the stakeholders who we have worked with. What do we work? We structure innovative financing instruments, including SSC, social impact bonds, development impact bonds. These are some things which we help corporates as well as NGOs. Business process and re-engineering for efficiencies. We are understanding startups as well as NGOs wanting more efficiency within their programs. So we help those organizations to promote business efficiencies. And then we also do impact assessments and cost benefit analysis, as well as we do a few capacity building programs. We are starting that, GPDP as well as emerging tech. These are areas where we are trying to provide. Next slide please. I think today morning onwards or today afternoon onwards, you have been hearing a lot about social stock exchange. So I'm sure that you have learned a lot from today's efforts. And somebody today mentioned that how many countries have actually launched the social stock exchange. Effectively today, if you see, there are about 9 countries which have launched. The success, the maturity, there is a lot of variation. But I think you should commend Government of India, SEBI, NSC, BSC, all the NGOs for one thing. Our social stock exchange is completely different. If you see, I have listed the 5 areas. In fact, there are 6. In fact, there are 6 areas. If you take the CSR act also. How our SSC is different from other countries' SSCs. So one, obviously, this is the first social stock exchange which is SEBI regulated. There is a mandatory impact disclosure. Listed, it has got a listed instrument called ZC, Zero Book and Zero Principle. It has got a social audit framework. It has got a social impact fund and development impact model. Like the SNC, ZP, these are also instruments through which you can mobilize funds. So there's a lot of uniqueness which Indian SSC has brought to this whole ecosystem. So I think definitely the efforts that's being taken by the Government of India and all the stakeholders are commendable. I know it's a very early stage, it will still evolve, but over a period of time, I'm sure that this is going to give garner greater interest and momentum in the coming years. Why should NPOs consider the social stock exchange? Most of the points have been discussed here, I will repeat it here. There are broadly 4 major areas why an NGO should consider investments. One, obviously, it brings in a different type of financial, it diversifies the funding source. Usually NGOs have been dependent on grants, government grants or international NGO grants and to some extent CSR. But this brings in a retail investment, so that's again an opportunity. Second thing, most of the NGOs are always, whenever we speak, they say that funding is always coming for 1-year durations. And as Madam told that now social stock exchanges, you can list up to 3 years of projects. So you have an opportunity for long-term funding, and it also has the opportunity to include certain costs which would have normally not been possible to do. For example, fundraising costs, impact assessment costs, all those things could be included within your proposal. So these are some advantages when it comes to the financial part. Institutional credibility, as everybody mentioned, that you are going to be much more visible, the credibility is going to substantially increase because it is not a private organization who's vetting your processes. It's the Securities Exchange of Europe, India. It's the NSE, it's the BSE. These are the types of organizations which are vetting you. So your credibility is going to be substantively increasing in the coming times. Second, because you're a credible institution, because you're listed in NSE, internally also, you will put in much more rigorous systems to improve the internal control systems. Again, on better performance and impact, as Madam and everybody has mentioned, there's going to be a greater focus on outcomes and impact. This is going to be the key. It improves quality of work as well as there's going to be regular impact assessment. Finally, when it comes to the increased visibility, there's going to be higher visibility for the NGO. It is something which is like, for example, when you go to a fundraising, there are going to be multiple donors and each of them comes with their own preferences, wants, do this, you should consider this. Here, actually the NGO is the driver. They decide what's the program we want to do, what is going to be the outcomes, what's going to be the impact, what's going to be the activities that we want to do, how much is it going to be. So the NGO is more or less in the driver's seat compared to normally what the donors are in the driver's seat. Again, it can avoid multiple reporting and multiple budgeting system because most donors want separate reporting, separate budgeting systems. So this all could be avoided, and that's some interesting or important advantages for the NGOs. Now, because there are corporates also in this, next slide. Yeah, go back. So again, for corporates, there's a lot of advantages. Number one, there's such a stringent due diligence process that's happening, it avoids any risk. So the risk is completely, or to a large extent, there's mitigations. There's substantive cost savings. You don't have to do due diligence. You don't have to do the monitoring of these NGOs. You don't have to do an impact assessment. So all these costs are going to be substantially there for the corporates. Opportunities for shared investment. You can now, instead of putting all your money in one or two NGOs, this could be an opportunity for shared investments. Again, greater social footprints. Now what will happen, even with a small amount of investments, let's assume 10% or even 5% of the money is given by corporates for CSR resources. Now this could be going beyond their traditional geographies, beyond their traditional themes. So you have a greater social footprint for the corporates also. Cost benchmarking. Over a period of time, corporates can understand, okay, how much does it cost in a social stock exchange program for this particular intervention? I'm not sure that this is going to be robust and scientific, but this has a potential for an NGO, for a corporate to understand how is it looking from a cost point of view between SSC and their programs so that they can benchmark their product. Greater scope for social impact. Most of the CSRs are for one year durations. But social impact is not going to happen so easily. It's going to take time. It's going to take at least a minimum 3 years. Whereas here when you invest, these organizations are all having long duration projects, so you have a greater scope for social impact if you go through the social stock exchange. Again, you don't have to be worried because all the activities that's going to be supporting this Schedule 7 activities, you don't have to be worried about. One of the biggest concerns most CSR managers speaks about is there's an audit issue, CSR audit issue. All those could be avoided here if you go through the social stock exchange. Finally, it contributes to India's evolving in a social investment space, and again, it also enhances the visibility of the corporates multiple fold. Key points for NGOs to consider are not going into the details because many of the points have been covered and some of that you may already know. I have listed about 7 key points here. Number 1, early onboarding. All your directors has to be on board on this. All your auditors should be on board on this. If you have got a legal firm, getting them on quickly is important. If you have the technical team, getting them on board. So onboarding is very, very important, and the earlier you onboard them, it is very helpful for you because there is not going to be any problems at that later point of time. You will need to have a dedicated SSC working team. It's not that, okay, this is one more activity for me. Maybe you need to have 1 or 2 people exclusively working on the social stock exchange project. So you need to factor that when you are having documentation. There are multiple documentations that are going to be there. Organizational documentations. There are at least about 19 to 20 organization-related documents that you need to put into place. Your PAN, your TAN, all those things have to be put into place. Then in the same proposal, it is not just the future proposal. You will have to build a story about your past work. What has been the substantive work that you have done? What's been the testimonies you can bring in? What's the milestones? What's the achievement? So all those things you have to take into consideration. Technical proposal for SSC is again the third part. I will dwell with it a little bit later. Factoring time. Don't think this is going to happen just like that. Don't say, okay, within 3 months, 4 months, the things are going to be over. You will have to keep some time into consideration. It can even possibly take 6 months. It could even possibly take 7 months. So keep the time factor. Don't think that, okay, it will be just over in whatever stipulated time that you have thought about. Most important, donor outreach plan. It is the important, NGOs needs to be very, very clear that it is not a single track, okay, let me go to 1 donor, 2 donors, and this is going to work out. You need to have a multi-pronged donor outreach strategy. How are you going to go to reach out to high net worth individuals? How are you going to reach to corporate CSRs? How are you going to reach to the other retail investors? These are things which you have to have a thorough strategy. SSC, NSC can be only a platform to amplify your project. They are not going to be giving you funds, they are not going to be helping you in fundraising. NGOs should take that effort, and for that you need to have a very, very strong, robust donor outreach plan. And donor outreach plan cannot happen, okay, when your project is about to be listed, that 1 month, 1.5 months alone is not sufficient. You need to factor this about 5-6 months in advance. You should have a strategy, you should start onboarding the donors and preparing for them so that when the listing happens, the funding is coming to them on time. Engage consultants, marketing, fundraising firms. This is not a bad word at all. Engaging consultants, engaging marketing firms, fundraising firms. You are now reaching to everybody who has got 1,000 rupees, correct? It's not like 50 crores, 100 crores organizations only you are reaching out. Every demat account holder, that's about 2.5 crores or something if I'm right, you are going to reach out. What's your strategy for that? You need to have a strategy for that. So you may have to have consultants, marketing firms, fundraising firms for these things. And thankfully, the provision to accommodate that cost is also available for you, that you can factor it within the proposals that you are putting. Finally, post-listing engagements with investors and partners. It's not over. Okay, you got the proposal, it got listed. It's not over with that. How is that going to be engaging? What is your engagement process with the donors or investors or the NSE? Is it going to be a reactive mode when they ask a question you will reply, or is it going to be a proactive mode where you're going to be putting information according to that? So those are things which you have to think about it. Of course, each of those things, there is a strategy for it, a plan for it, and that's where consulting organizations like us can help you out on this. So this is a 7-step process that we have outlined, but more details will be required for each of those things which we can help you out. Again, I'm not going to go into all these things, but a technical proposal has got about 12 or 13 elements. Number one element is your problem statement. How well is your problem statement going to be defined is very, very critical. I have seen organizations who have given proposals very abstract. Problem statements are so abstract that you can't even understand what is the exact problem they're trying to address. They always think that an emotion will work. Okay, 500 children are affected, so can we help get some money? No, emotions alone are not going to work. You need to have a differential strategy for that. Second, many of the problem statements, you don't even give evidence. What is the exact problem? Some of the evidences they give relate to some 10 years back evidences. It may not be relevant to the geography, it may not be current. So how do you bring? So I'm not going to go in each of those things. Even if you take a problem statement, how do you define a problem statement needs to be better explained, and we can help you out on it. Again, fixing up our goals and objectives. Strategic alignment. You will have to see, because now your investor is going to be an individual, your investor is going to be a high net worth individual, your investor is going to be a CSR company. How is it going to be aligned to them? So you will have to link, okay, schedule 7, this activity is what this particular proposal is connected, so that they can understand, okay, my company's mandate or my CSR request is also being met through this particular initiative. Proposed activities, you have to very, very clearly list out proposed activities. It shouldn't, and okay? Okay. Proposed activities, you have to be sort of clear about your proposed activity. Theory of change, don't list activities as such. Madam was speaking about a logical frame and all. So this activity should flow into a theory of change. How is it going to be doing the outcomes, achieving the outcomes? How is it going to be achieving the impact? So the theory of change has to be fairly established for your activities or your project. You should have a clear outcomes and impact mentioned. You should have a monitoring governance. You will face risks. Some of the strategies and activities are going to have some risks. It may fail. So you will have to have a risk mitigation plan. Most important thing, don't think that, okay, let me cut and paste a standard proposal and send it back to an organization. You have to be innovative. What are the types of innovations you are bringing? How is your proposal unique from others? Those are things which you'll have to bring to them. Partnership. If you are working with 3-4 organizations, if there are other corporates who are working with you, establish those partnerships. Investor value. If a CSR company is going to be partnering with you, what is the value for them? You should think about it. How can I build a value proposition for them? So you will have to think about investor value for those things and inbuild it in your proposal. Your funding plan has to be very clear, and it should explain something that you have thought through about everything. It should be having a unit cost for it, like how much is it costing for a unit. How you should give the impression, okay, investor also, okay, this is not overspending of money. They are very efficient in their planning of spending. So all those things should come together. Finally, the most important thing, community coverage. Your entire focus should be the community, and that should also come out very, very strongly. Some points, I don't want to go too much because I know it's a shortage of time. Just because a Gazette note has come, don't expect corporates to immediately write all their 10% checks to you. It's not going to happen. They have to make a lot of changes within their policy. Their policy is today designed for, okay, we will give CSR at this amount, at this period. So now the proposals may come every month, correct? In SSC, you may see start getting proposals every month. How are they going to fund it? So you will have to have the changes within the organization, they have to bring together a lot of systemic changes. So one, corporates, they have to build interest, awareness and leadership within their organization, incorporate those CSR policy changes, structure operational procedures. How do you change the procedures? Like for example, how are you going to monitor these programs? How are you going to get the reports from these organizations? You're not going to get it. So how is this organization going to accommodate it? They have to add it to their policy, in their documents. Because they are going to be questioned by auditing. What is happening? I gave you $5 million or $1 million. What's happening? Similarly, they may have different funding times. All those things are coming. Allocate a dedicated SSC funding window. You have 10% of CSR, at least set aside 5% for SSC funding, whatever is the amount. It should be a dedicated one, and that should be given to all regular finally, what I would say is that CSR corporates should start giving feedback to NSE, BSE, MC on how can they improve the whole social stock exchange, because they will start facing different experiences. Be a champion. Corporates needs to be a champion within their sector. There may be initial early birds, but we need to have more and more organizations supporting it, so you need to have championship. And it's not only ZC, ZP, there could be other opportunities also CSR companies can consider, which could include either a social impact fund or a development impact fund. Finally, some parting thoughts. There is some excitement after May 27th, but the excitement can die anytime. Unless and otherwise we create a substantive amount of interest among corporates and NGOs, this can fade out in 2 months, 3 months time. Please understand that. So you will have to have lots of programs to create the awareness, both with NGOs as well as with corporates. As well as business associations like PhD chambers and others can have a very, very important role in this. Start with small CSR commitments. Even if you commit only 2%, it's fine. But let's have some small CSR commitments. Create an SSC sandbox to move from initial interest to firm commitment. There are going to be challenges. So there should be a platform available for them to understand and come out with creative ideas. And there are so many questions here. So how do you solve these? There are multiple people who can think about it. So creating an SSC sandbox could be one way for you to address those Please consider some recognition and rewards for the early birds. Even if there are going to be some 10, 20 companies who are giving some money immediately, start giving them recognition and rewards. Also have regular SSC experience with sharing with NGOs and corporates. This is a new venture. This is a new way of doing business. It's not been there 5 years back. So experience sharing between NGOs is very, very critical. NGOs and corporates is very, very critical. And again, I would request NSC, BSE, all of them to take the role of sharing, having more and more NGO experience sharing meetings. Establish a SSC Kickstart fund. Can we have a small Kickstart fund? Because you may not have a clear idea now. Put up a SSC Kickstart fund. It could be, for example, exclusively for women and child Kickstart fund, SSC Kickstart fund, where corporates can park their funds. And after a certain point of time, because you may not have projects ready, but you know, okay, there's a fund available and you can park them. Or you can create a geography-wise fund. Maybe a Maharashtra SSC Kickstart fund. So corporates in Maharashtra can put their funds, and that could be used when projects are available. So that could be again an opportunity. Faster clearance of NPO proposals. This has been something which we have been constantly hearing. There's a lot of NGOs who are complaining that, okay, we have written to BSE, we have written to NSE, things are not clear, it's taking too much time. Please look into it. Why? And how can we do? Prime Minister speaks of ease of doing business. How can we fast track these things? It's something which you can think about. Track roadblocks and take timely actions. I'll stop here. And this is one last slide which we have. As an organization, what can we offer to NGOs, to corporates? Anything on SSC readiness assessment, anything on registration, anything on fundraising document, anything on putting together a fundraising strategy or connecting to the investors, impact measurement, institutional strengthening for better project management, and post-listing compliance support. All of these things we could possibly provide support to NGO partners. Similarly, for corporates, we can help in the SSC strategy and advisory. We can give them the pipeline of, because there was one question like, how does corporates know about NGOs? As consultants, we are in touch with many, many corporates. So we can probably connect them to the corporates and tell them about the risk of SSCs align to their corporate priorities and portfolios. We can help in pre and post investment engagement with NGOs. Obviously, NGOs corporates would want to know what's happening to their funds. It's not a blind check, right? Even if they give you half 50 rands, they want to know what's happening. So how can we facilitate that post-investment engagement? So that's something which as a consultant we can possibly provide support. We can help in supporting structuring social impact funds or development impact bonds. Development impact bonds are more of pay for success types of thing. That's again something which is emerging. And finally, we can help in impact assessment and reports of SSE listed projects. I will stop here. I know it was a bit of a quick rush. We would have taken more time to explain it, but I know that it's already 6:30, 6:35. So thank you once again to all of you.
Thank you so much, sir. You have covered multiple points. I hope audience will get many points from this presentation. Thank you so much, sir. We have a small memento for you. I request. Yes. Please.
Thank you so much.
I know we are running out of the time. Now we have a last session of the day. So the topic of the session is social impact assessment and principle and process. I invite Ms. Harsha Ramnani. Please join on dais. She is a social impact assessor and registered valuer. A big round of applause for ma'am.
I did 8:30. I have to rush.
So, good evening everyone. I understand it's very late for all of us. I'll just take your 10 to 15 minutes more for the session. I hope we are there. Yeah. Thank you, sir. So, I'm Harsha Ramnani and I have seen most of the topics have already been covered by the learned speakers. The process, the stock exchange, concept, how these things need to be done, what is the benefit, everything is covered. So only two things which is pending for me and I'll be covering quickly for all of you. First part is about the core principles of the social impact assessment, because when everything is happening on a right foot in terms of registration listing, social impact assessment can be something kind of a hurdle for all of us. So that we need to understand what are the core principles that we as a social impact assessor are considering for any of the impact assessment. My first principle is here as a materiality, which means the measures what actually matters for everyone. So when I'm starting any impact assessment for any organization, it starts from theory of change part, where every assessment we try to trace a clear logic statement. Because as ma'am was mentioning previously, logic model we need to apply, so that is important for all of us. And if I am not able to trace that logic model, it is something, a missing part for me for any social enterprise or any project where we are working as an impact assessor. So whatever materiality meaning here as a checklist, if I wanted to understand, first is to align with UN SDG themes which is specified by Social Stock Exchange. The 17 Sustainable Development Goals is something which we need to be aligned. Second is outcome indicator, not just activity counts. This was also covered by Jyotsna ma'am. She was mentioning that activity is something which is a part of my theory of change. but outcome is something which I need to somewhere trace. And the last one is the relevant to the specific NPOs, that is stated mission. It should be very specific. It is not something which is directly I can connect with any project or something which is not linked with a specific target. It should be linked with a specific target. It should be linked with target beneficiaries. My second principle is here credibility, which is the independence is non-negotiable. If for any social enterprises I am working as an impact assessor, independence is something I need to ensure as a first foremost principle, because if I am not independent, somewhere conflict of interest or somewhere very specifically if I say my interest will have the other donor's interest. So that should not happen in any social impact assessment case. So person should be independent. Second, SRO certified. This is again we need to take care, because as an organization, as an enterprises, we should be very clear that impact assessment can be done only by the impact assessor who is registered with any social SRO certified person. So ICMAI, ICAI, ICSI, all three SROs are there, and one impact assessor should be registered with any of one SRO. And third important principle here in credibility is the standardization. Whatever activities I am performing for my impact assessment, that should be standardized. And why the standardization is important here? Reason, the third principle, which is the comparability. So again, when I am considering any impact assessment, comparability is something which I need to ensure. Uniformity is something which I need to ensure. So that if my NGO, if one NGO has been done as an impact assessment, that can be compared with another result. Donor can take a decision based on your reports, whether with the outcome should I go with another set of donation or any other organization or enterprises can also be considered for the decision making. So the common reporting framework is again one thing which I need to consider for comparability. SDG thematic tagging is important. My report is incomplete if I am not tagging the same with SDGs. And the last one is consistent indicator set. Period to period, it should not be the case where I am changing the indicators. KPI should not be changed. So again, this third part also sector specific, but standardization of outcome and output I need to ensure as an impact assessment. So my experience I will share with you, but I just wanted to know your experience if anyone has done previously any impact assessment or as an organization you have been carried out with this exercise. Which particular principle you think that is the hardest one, whether the materiality, credibility or the comparability? Credibility I am not sure, because now we know that impact assessor, but yes, in terms of whether the same experience that impact assessor is having, that can be one of the case. My experience is in terms of comparability, because that as a report I need to ensure very carefully. So every impact assessor needs to ensure with respect to the standardization report formats part. Now if we go with the assessment process, the step-by-step theory of change. So this is my simple 5-stage impact assessment model which one can always follow, where the first step will be the logic model and scoping. I have already mentioned about the logic model, what exactly it is, कैसे होता है, इसके अंदर क्या concept है, किन चीजों का हमें ध्यान रखना होता है. So my first step always will be the logic model and the scoping part. Once I am clear with the logic model, the scope part, then the second part will be as a data collection. जो मेरे को data उसके लिए collect करना है, the interviews with the beneficiaries, the focus group discussion with the beneficiaries. That is something as a crucial part for any impact assessment, and it is a long time taking process as well. Third part is the verification. Whatever data I have collected, whether it is a primary data or secondary data, दो तरह का data होता है, one is primary and secondary. Here the difference between primary and secondary, whatever I am getting from my beneficiaries, whatever I am getting from the place जहाँ पे उस impact को हम assess करने के जा रहे हैं, that is my primary data. And the secondary data is your balance sheet, your reports, other previous documentation, that we considered as the secondary data. तो जो भी हमने data collect किया है, that verification depends now again take a lot of time. Verification can be on site and it can verification process generally takes time. Fourth step comes as an impact qualification. With my exercise, we try to find out what the impact we can see through the project. Okay, whether we are in a position to quantify that or somewhere any struggle we are facing for that. So quantification is important. And after quantification, the reporting and the filing part will come. So this is a simple 5-step logic model for the impact assessment in terms of credible impact assessment. One impact assessor can follow for any of the social enterprise. This is the logic model we follow for our impact assessment. Very simple: impact, activity, output, outcome and impact. And most of the time where impact assessors somewhere confused between, or sometimes report that clashes, it is between output and outcome. The output is something which we can see in numbers. Quantification is possible. जहाँ पे हम calculate कर सकते हैं, number देख सकते हैं, that is my output. For example, किसी स्कूल का ले लें, हमने किसी हॉस्पिटल का ले लें, so number of students जो उस स्कूल के अंदर enrolled हैं, number of patients जिनको उस हॉस्पिटल से facilities मिल रही है, that can be the output of that project. Outcome is something what is actually benefit those beneficiaries are getting from the project. स्कूल के अंदर जब वहाँ पे एजुकेशन उनको प्रोवाइड की जा रही है, what is the exact outcome person is getting. So that short term outcome is something which we need to list out in our report. And the last is impact, which is ultimately needs to be connected with the SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals. Whether we are able to hit somewhere the no poverty part, whether we are able to hit the SDG 4 of quality education, that is something comes as a impact which is long term and the sustained in a longer period. Who is authorized to assess? So as I was saying, just you need to ensure that social impact assessor should be registered with any of the SRO. And when I say the social impact assessor, that means if person is individual, then at least proprietorship form should be registered with SRO. Because my individual membership is not giving me right to sign any report. I should have a firm registered with SRO, then only I am eligible to conduct any impact assessment. Second, as an impact assessor, I should be aware about what exactly is happening in the ecosystem, the latest notification, the latest update. So if you can see, 19th January we have a master circular. This April also there was certain reforms which happened. Recent 19th March and 55, that was again landmark period where the subscription amount was decreased. So all these updates I should be aware about as an impact assessor. Same जो education है, same जो मेरा thought process है, I need to also carry forward to the impact social enterprises so that they also understand, they also can plan about their next project to be listed on a socialist exchange. कहाँ पे assessment mostly गलत जाते हैं या जो एक overall देखा है, so one first as I mentioned, output is addressed as an outcome. बहुत बार ऐसा होता है कुछ reports के अंदर आपको output को outcome के form में दिखा दिया जाता है. Second, self-reported data unverified. So this is something again we need to see and we need to find out that जितना हो सके we should go with the third-party verification because जो मेरा donor है, जो मेरा फंडर है, उसको कॉन्फिडेंस कब आएगा उस इंस्टीट्यूशन पे जब वो थर्ड पार्टी वेरीफाइड होगा. ऑन साइट इंडिकेटर सेट, सो दिस इज समथिंग अगेन वी नीड टू एंश्योर फॉर एनी इम्पैक्ट असेसमेंट एंड असेसमेंट एज अ ईयर एंड फॉर्मेलिटी. दिस शुड नॉट बी द केस. अगर मैंने इसको एज अ ईयर एंड एक्टिविटी मान लिया तो वहां पे देन वी हैव अ लिमिटेशन ऑफ टाइम, व्हेन वी हैव अ लिमिटेशन ऑफ रिसोर्सेज, और एक जो एक्चुअल एक्टिविटी परफॉर्म होनी चाहिए वो कहीं ना कहीं पे परफॉर्म होने से रह जाती है. So this was from my side, just on a very quick note, very summarized note because time was short and even I am on also just on our job leaving. So just few questions if I can take a floor or anything you wanted to ask with respect to impact assessment, with respect to the process, I am open for that.
Any CA can be registered with the SRO?
Yes, if you have cleared your social impact assessment exam, then you can take your membership with any of SR.
There is a specific exam.
Yeah, there is a specific exam for that. Exam you need to clear first, then you can go for the membership.
There is ZC, ZP, 021, 0 principal. And what are the other social impact points and development?
So there are multiple options which are available. ZC, ZP is the popular one because that is specifically introduced for the NPOs. And that's the reason SEBI also wanted to be used maximum of the time by the NPOs. But we can go with the social impact bonds, we can go with the other instruments also. Yes. We need to use the platform of social stock exchange, or for FPEs, for the profit organization, they can use their existing exchange, whether they are registered on SME or the main board.
And there is a certain kind of restriction for NGO for the projects, like 16 projects.
So there is a criteria for registration where I think sir already mentioned about 3 years of standing should be there. Your minimum spent in the last year, minimum receipt in the last year in terms of donation.
NGO can make a project on any field or any subject?
No, there is a thematic areas which is prescribed in the SEBI notification. On those thematic areas only, if your NGO is working, then you can go for the registration and listing.
इम्पैक्ट असेसमेंट एज ए थर्ड पार्टी होना चाहिए या
सर प्रेफर्ड थर्ड पार्टी है, बट
Preferred
अभी जो हमारा लेटेस्ट नोटिफिकेशन है वहाँ पे ओनली फॉर लिस्टिंग थर्ड पार्टी इज मैंडेटरी, अदरवाइज ओनली इट इज अ रजिस्ट्रेशन द सेल्फ रिपोर्टिंग इज परमिसिबल.
नहीं, जैसे हमने प्रोजेक्ट लिया, प्रोजेक्ट का वन ऑफ द एक्टिविटी है कि इम्पैक्ट भी अपने रिपोर्ट देना है, तो मेरे पास इन हाउस जो टीम है, so whether they can build the report and
अगर आपका प्रोजेक्ट लिस्ट है किसी एक्सचेंज के ऊपर, तब आपको उस केस में थर्ड पार्टी कराना है.
Being an implementer, it's not ethically good that you will do your own impact assessment. I think we have to go with the board's assessment.
Any other query from anyone?
ये अभी जैसे हर्षा भी है और you are also there.
I have somebody.
कौशल is from NSC.
NSC, yes.
तो अभी हर्षा का बोलना है कि सबसे बड़ा दिक्कत उनको यहाँ आ रहा है, ये लोग आउटपुट को आउटकम जैसे दिखाते हैं.
मैंने कुछ
तो
रिपोर्ट
ये आपका अपना क्या है कि उसमें ना आप अपना जो भी DFRD है उसमें यदि हम क्लियरली डिलीनेट कर देते हैं, तो डिलीनेट करने के बाद में भी ये इस तरह का समस्या आ रही है, चैलेंज आ रही है.
So मैम मैंने कुछ रिपोर्ट्स देखी है वहाँ पे where some part was considered as a output instead of outcome. Outcome was shown as a output. So वो एक cross relation understanding gap was there. आज मेरा output है, we all know that can be quantified in numbers. अब उसको अगर मैं outcome के अंदर present करूँ, so somewhere I am missing that line. So that
ये भी है ना, कभी ये भी है कि आउटपुट आपका सभी आउटपुट कभी मेजरेबल भी नहीं होता है ना. तो इस हिसाब से मेजरेबल नॉन मेजरेबल में हम यदि उसको वो करें तो हमें बहुत
क्लैरिटी दे रहे हैं.
नहीं, परंतु जो फॉर्मेट हम लोग यूज कर रहे हैं ना कौशल, तो उस फॉर्म में बहुत क्लियरली डिलिनेटेड है कि आपका आउटपुट कहाँ मेंशन करना है टेबल में, कहाँ आउटकम मेंशन होगा. तो मतलब ये है ना, ये मेरा इतना पूछना था कि DFRD फॉर्मेट में जब आप प्लेस करते हो वहां पर ये क्लियरली ना लिखे जाने से दिक्कत आ रही है या NPO अपने तरफ से मिस्टेक कर रहा है, क्योंकि इन्होंने जो पास किया है तो वो तो क्लियर है कि कहाँ आपको आउटपुट दिखाना है, कहाँ आउटकम दिखाना है, और आपका कंफ्यूजन है थोड़ा क्लियर कर देंगे ताकि हमें भी समझने में आसान हो जाए.
So mostly time पर ना NPO की तरफ से भी वो कंफ्यूजन क्रिएट होता है, बिकॉज जब हम उन्हें समझाने की कोशिश करते हैं कि दिस इज समथिंग वी नीड टू लिस्ट आउट एज एन आउटकम एंड आउटपुट एज पर द फॉर्मेट, समवेयर दे आर नॉट इन लाइन विद आवर अंडरस्टैंडिंग एंड दे वांट कि नहीं इसको यहाँ से दिखाना है, इसको ऐसे दिखाना है, इसको ऐसे नहीं करके इसको ट्वीट
तो
करके यहाँ
इसका मतलब DFRD में ये थोड़ा सा
मैम both sides I just want to address this question.
हाँ बताओ जरा, बताओ
तो
हिंदी में बता देना.
जी तो ऐसा है कि जब हम थियोरी ऑफ चेंज की बात करते हैं, राइट, एंड उसके बाद में आप उसको लॉजिकल फ्रेमवर्क से जब इस्टेब्लिश करने की कोशिश करते हैं, तो जब स्टार्ट हुआ था स्टिल लाइक सोशल स्टॉक एक्सचेंजेस इवॉल्विंग फ्रेमवर्क, तो अगर आप पहला 5 प्रोजेक्ट को देखेंगे और उसके बाद के 10 प्रोजेक्ट को देखेंगे, यू विल फाइंड अ ह्यूज डिफरेंस, एंड ऑल थैंक्स टू ज्योत्सना मैम टू परस्यू इट लाइक यू नो, या सो there is a huge difference. The idea was कि कैसे इसको पहले positive platform बनाया जाए so that people, I mean especially NGOs where they are trying to comprehend all the nomenclatures of capital market, जो समझ नहीं आ रहा है, बहुत सारे वो हैं, तो कैसे उसको simple किया जाए so that they will first be confident कि ये कोई ऐसा एनिमल नहीं है जिससे मुझे डरना चाहिए, है ना. वो है। दूसरा है साइड इम्पैक्ट असेसर साइड ऑल्सो, कि हाउ दे आर ट्राइंग टू कॉम्प्रिहेंड द एंटायर थियोरी ऑफ चेंज। बिकॉज क्या है कि अभी तक ऑल द फाइनेंस प्रोफेशनल्स आर getting all that certification, but social science is not that simple science where you just read 500 page ka ek document, you get the certification and it is done. I know 5 different impact assessment experts, they are doing their postdoctoral also just to understand how evaluation happens. I'm telling you the depth of that. Maybe social sector में पैसा कम होगा, मतलब funding थोड़ा कम है sir, but the kind of depth it requires, especially related to research, even monitoring and evaluation में भी इतने सारे parameters है, तो overall the ecosystem is learning. जो बालू सर भी कहते हैं कि why do we think कि only social sector need to learn from capital market. Capital market also need to learn from social sector, and that co-learning is happening, and that is why SSC में जितने changes हुए हैं पिछले 3 साल में, I really doubt कि किसी और प्लेटफॉर्म के लिए इतने changes आए हैं, है ना? Yeah. So now coming back to the point जो हम outcome output की बात कर रहे हैं, वो चीजें change होंगी. How frequently we talk about it. Once we come up with those frameworks जो अभी हम काम कर रहे हैं, जल्दी ही वो आएगा with definition and all those things. And उसके बाद में जो है उस पैरामीटर पे जब gradually verify होंगी चीजें, because पहले आइडिया ये था कि जो 45 करोड़ रेज हुए हैं, it's किसी को कुछ उसका बेनिफिट नहीं मिला है. Even if corporates are giving that from their 98%, we should understand. Even retail funders or HNIs are giving it, from their income, despite knowing that it's not going to help them with ATG, right? ATG अब सब लोग maximum लोग new regime में हैं, right? Now CSR has come, that is one hope. Obviously जो अब barriers होंगे, reviews होंगे, due diligence होगा project का, उसका भी जो parameters होगा, that will be very much demanding. दूसरा है CSR में ठीक है, but साथ में the biggest advantage of social stock exchange, जो अभी हम बात भी कर रहे थे, and I'm trying to talk a little holistically, कि अगर हम value proposition की बात करें, बहुत सारे question आए हैं, तो I just try to form a diagram, है ना, कि कैसे ये कर रहा है, because I have been a part of the social sector only, है ना, from last 12-13 years, and I had some hopeless conversations कि कैसे social sector उस level पे जाएगा, right? तो पहला चीज किसी भी प्रोजेक्ट करने के लिए, चाहे मेरा इंटेंशन कितना भी अच्छा हो, व्हाट इज रिक्वायर्ड इज फंड. पैसा नहीं होगा तो कैसा भी प्रोजेक्ट हम डिजाइन कर लें, और मतलब नहीं है तो वी विल ओनली बी राइटिंग पब्लिकेशंस एंड वो सब कुछ, बट दैट इज नॉट गोइंग टू ब्रिंग एनी काइंड ऑफ रेलेवेंट चेंज, है ना. एंड वो हम एसडीजी वैसे ही बात करते रहेंगे कि 2030 तक 2.8 ट्रिलियन की जरूरत है, बट मिल नहीं रहा है, राइट. सो एसएससी क्या लेके आ रहा है उसकी हम बात करते हैं, और क्या नहीं लेके आ रहा है उसकी भी बात करते हैं, और जो लेके आ रहा है कैसे वो नहीं लेके आ रहा है, दैट बिकम्स ए बाई प्रोडक्ट. आई वाज जस्ट थिंकिंग अबाउट इट मैम, कि पहला तो चीज़ ये है कि जब आप रजिस्टर करते हैं अपने ऑर्गेनाइजेशन को ना, तो ये आपको एक गवर्नेंस मॉडल सिखाता है. आपको पता चलता है कौन कौन से डॉक्यूमेंट मेरे पास हैं, क्योंकि कितनी बार आपको भी उसका पूरा अच्छे से ज्ञान नहीं होता है कि मेरे फाइनेंशियल रिपोर्ट में क्या लिखा हुआ है, उसका मतलब क्या है, उसको कॉम्प्रिहेंड कैसे करना है. अगर मैं एक एनजीओ चला रहा हूँ, आई हैव टू नो एंड टू एंड थिंग अबाउट माय ऑर्गेनाइजेशन, माय डॉक्यूमेंट्स, एवरी ट्रांजैक्शन इन अ वे, इन अ स्मार्ट वे. ऐसा नहीं कि आपको बुक कीपिंग करना है. तो एक जो गवर्नेंस है थ्रू सिस्टम्स एंड प्रोसेस, थ्रू आवर क्वेश्चंस, वो बिल्ड होता है. कहीं ना कहीं से वो आपका कहीं चैलेंज भी करता है ना. आपको कभी कभी लगेगा कि अरे एक ही सवाल कितनी बार आ रहा है, इस चीज को मैं क्यों नहीं कॉम्प्रिहेंड कर पा रहा हूँ या रिस्पॉन्ड कर पा रहा हूँ, वो सब आएगा. बट द आइडिया इज हाउ इट इज स्ट्रीमलाइनिंग दैट डॉक्यूमेंटेशन. आई थिंक 200 NPOs registered, they all will say one thing, I know all my documents now. You know, that's true. सेकेंड थिंग जो है, ये गवर्नेंस जो प्रोफेशनलिज्म भी लेके आता है कि हाउ आई अप्रोच माई फंड रेजिंग एटीट्यूड. बिकॉज जब आप पब्लिक के पास लेके जाते हैं ना मांगने फंड, you are building your network also, and this gives you a platform where you had been thinking to meet somebody, now you are meeting because you know that the fundraising works differently on this platform. आप किसी तरह से जो है ना वो अर्जेंसी डेवलप करोगे किसी से मिलने के लिए, राइट, उस इफिशियंसी के लिए या फंड रेजिंग के लिए. एंड एक और बात है, जो जितने एनजीओज हैं हमारे यहाँ लाखों की संख्या में है ज्योत्सना मैम, और मैं बताता हूँ कि ये जगह अभी कहाँ पे हम हैं, यहाँ ये पीएचडी चैम्बर के बगल में अगर कोई एनजीओ है ना, हौज खास में नहीं पता होगा कि इस नाम का कोई एनजीओ है. दैट इज द काइंड ऑफ एग्जिस्टेंशियल क्राइसिस ऑफ विजिबिलिटी एनपीओज आर फेसिंग, राइट? लीव टॉप 100-200 एनपीओज, राइट? तो यहाँ पर अगर मैं अच्छा काम कर रहा हूँ, अच्छा प्रोजेक्ट डेवलप कर रहा हूँ, मेरे पास एक प्लेटफॉर्म है जहाँ पर लोग कमेंट कर सकते हैं, एक प्लेटफॉर्म है जहाँ पे 20 मिलियन हिट्स जो हैं उस वेबसाइट पे जाता है. एक बार जब पता चलेगा एसएससी कुछ होता है, मेनी विल कम देयर आल्सो, पीपल विल डू दैट. एंड ऐसा नहीं प्लेटफॉर्म पे लोग नहीं है, देयर आर अलाइव पीपल, more than 13 crore on NSC only, and they are unique investors. अगर उसका 0.5% भी once they start knowing about SSC, because again awareness का है problem, and that is where Vineet was also talking कि how we are just not trying to make people aware through some campaign, but also trying to nudge their behavior, how giving is as important as making money. जैसे म्यूचुअल फंड सही है जो बता रहे थे, आज के टाइम में देयर आर चांसेस कि अभी आपका एनजीओ 100 में से 1 लोग जानते हैं. हो सकता है कि थ्रू दिस विजिबिलिटी एक्सरसाइज एंड थ्रू योर ग्रेट प्रोजेक्ट एंड योर गवर्नेंस 10 people will start knowing about your organization, and chances are कि 2 लोग जो हैं वो आपके स्टेट के नहीं होंगे, बाहर से होंगे, और उसमें हो सकता है कि एक ऐसा हो कि इंटरनेशनली आपको देख रहा है कि कितना कमाल का आप काम कर रहे हैं, कैन आई राइट सम रिसर्च पेपर ऑन दैट, और कैन आई कोलैबोरेट फॉर सम लोकल थिंग. सो बहुत सारा कुछ ऐसा है. वन चैलेंज इज ओनली बिकॉज फंड का, कि अभी तक नहीं था, CSR आया है, somebody was saying कि we have to pick it up. Before this, I was in back-to-back meetings in corporates only with PSUs, just to, you know, get that thing, है ना? क्योंकि हम भी ये नहीं कि हम सिर्फ प्लेटफॉर्म दे रहे हैं, हम अगर सप्लाई साइड डिमांड साइड दोनों तरफ काम नहीं करें तो दिस प्लेटफॉर्म विल नॉट वर्क टू दैट लेवल. एंड अगेन जो ज्योत्सना मैम और आप जो टच बेस कर रहे हो, until and unless we do not bring a great project and do the assessment very correctly and methodologically, then people will not be convinced about it कि how this project is coming up with price discovery. So बहुत सारा चैट हुआ है कि how it was a slow process of evolution, 3 साल लगा सब कुछ. ZCZP is the only one, but I tell you there